Yankees getting ready to open a series with the Boston Red Sox here tonight at beautiful Fenway Park. And it's a night that is punctuated by the return of the manager, Joe Torre. Quite a day here in Boston. Well, Joe Torre, we'll tell you more about him in a second. Let me tell you who's pitching tonight, because it is a huge pitching matchup. David Cone going against Pedro Martinez, two Cy Young winners from the past, both working with Cy Young stuff in the 1999 season. Now let's get right down to cases with the manager. Joe Torre did indeed decide today was the day he was coming back to manage his ball club. It has been an emotional roller coaster for the Yankee manager from the end of the World Series last year. Of course, Joe Torre guiding this team to that record season, 125 wins, and of course the memorable 4-game sweep against the San Diego Padres. And then, of course, the announcement that he would not start the season with the team, but an appearance in uniform at Yankee Stadium to collect his championship wares from the 1998 season. Still the surgery. On March the 18th, Joe Torre had to patiently sit and watch and wait until he felt healthy enough to come back to this ball club. And he is indeed healthy enough. And he called George Steinbrenner this morning to let the manager, that the owner, know that he was indeed healthy. A wonderful call indeed, because it basically began, are you going to Boston today? And Joe Torre said, well, I'm going.
I'm back, and, you're asking me back to stay, and this is, this is what I want to be doing, and I'm glad it's finally here.
How does it feel to be back in uniform?
It feels great. I mean, the only time I was in uniform is when I went out to get my World Series ring, and today I flew up with Mr. Steinbrenner from New York, and we got in about 2 o'clock, and I was here before anybody else, which is really what I wanted. So when the players come in one at a time, 3 at a time, they saw me in uniform, and this was something they hadn't seen for a while, and that's the way I pretty much wanted to break it, like that, word of mouth.
Did you feel like a kid right now, or what is going through you?
I'm looking forward to the game. I mean, that's going to be the most fun, because I know at home you can run to the refrigerator and get whatever you want, but this is where I want to be. You know what I miss? I miss sitting on the bench, and because you watch games on TV, and it's fun and all, but once the player disappears in the dugout, you lose him. When you're sitting here, you get that whole feedback. You get a feel for what's going on. Even though I'm the manager of this team, you still don't get a feel unless you're sitting with them and hearing them, because you sense stuff, body language, just comments they make, and because I can't be of any help unless I'm here.
So in that respect, is it sort of a blank slate for you if you come back? A blank slate?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I anticipate we win every time we put the uniform on, and that's the one thing you never want your ball club to lose is that feeling of confidence when they go out on the field. And I just hope, and we have a tough guy to do it against tonight. I just hope we can go out and grind it like we're capable of doing.
Do you feel like you have your finger on the pulse of the team right now?
Well, I do through Zim, because we've been together for 4 years, and we pretty much talk on a regular basis, and even during the season when I am managing, we constantly go back and forth. So I do, but again, I still miss the stuff that you make your own decisions on.
Sure. And touch on that slightly helpless feeling seeing them lose. What do you think you would have said or done?
Not a whole lot. The only thing you do is pat them on the rear end and let them know you believe in them, because that's, they say, when you go through a losing streak, you sort of you feel like you're losing that little bit of confidence every day, and you just want to make sure you reinsure and assure people that you have confidence in them. And that's probably the only thing I would have done, is just offer the support. I mean, managing is changing pitchers and hitting and running and change and strategy, I guess. But the most important thing I think is trying to have the players feel pretty good about themselves.
Joe Torre obviously in his news conference earlier in the dugout at Fenway Park. Now, Don Zimmer, not known what his feelings are, but there are plenty of reactions going around here at Fenway Park to the return of the Yankee manager, and I asked him about Don Zimmer and what his future will be with the team.
Well, called him up at 8 o'clock this morning. I was happy I found him in his room, because he's normally gone by 7. And I just asked him if he was ready to do the job that he was hired to do, and bench coach. And I certainly am. And I said, well, I'll see you this afternoon.
You feel like it's a bit of relief on his part that you're back?
I think it is. And I'm happy. He's in. He always loves this city. I know his wife is here with him. He has a daughter that lives in New Hampshire, and I think he can probably enjoy the visit here now a little bit more for the few days than having to sit where I am right now.
And obviously, you'd like to see him stay.
Oh, no question. I mean, he's very important for me, and especially now, and getting myself back in action again to have him sitting next to me. And I'm glad his leg feels, and I'm glad his leg feels better. And I'm sure, if it starts barking on him again, he's going to probably do something else. But right now, we'll just take what we get.
Said Chambliss has the lineup card tonight. When are you going to get back in action with regard to that?
I don't normally take it out anyway. Chris has taken it out. I'll take it out. Hopefully we go to the playoffs, the first game or whatever of the postseason. But I don't know. Sometimes if we lose a few games, I'll go out and take it out. There's nothing scientific about what we do.
I can tell you the fans would love to see you at home when you do it.
Well, I may do it at home. Because the fans have been very supportive, and the number of letters and cards and flowers and candy and whatever else, but mostly the supportive stuff. I had a note handed to me last night. My wife and I were having dinner in the city, and it wasn't even signed. The woman handed it to me. She said, I'm not a baseball fan, but you look good, and we're planning, looking forward to having you come back, and all that stuff. It was very touching. Just handed it to me and just walked away. But that's the way the support has come.
The essence of Joe Torre, lots of raw emotion. He is no doubt thrilled to be back. And if you had been with us about an hour ago, you would have seen some of the fans here giving him a warm ovation, welcoming him back. When we come back, we'll find out how the Yankees and their owner feels about the return of Joe Torre. Yankee baseball coming up on Metro.
You are watching the New York Marriott Marquis Yankee Scorecard. The New York Marriott Marquis, Broadway's biggest hit.
Welcome back to Fenway Park, site of this year's All-Star Game and site of tonight's series opener between the Yankees and the Red Sox, the site of Joe Torre's return for the 1999 season. And earlier today, Joe called his boss and said, George Steinbrenner, I'm getting ready to go back to work, so come on up to Boston and meet me. Well, as you might expect, the Yankee owner is elated with the decision that Joe Torre is back in control of the best franchise in baseball.
Makes me feel very good that he's back. I just wanted to be sure that he was ready, and that the doctors and everybody said okay. I didn't want him to rush it. He didn't, and he's back, and he's healthy, and that's the main thing. Baseball is this much in life. It really isn't that important when you talk about a man's life and his health and his well-being. That's the important thing. The important thing that Joe Torre is well, he is back. That's the important thing for the team, for me, for everything. Everything else, when we found out about it, seemed pale by comparison. I mean, it didn't amount to anything, whether we won or we lost the games or what, when a man's life was talked about, or in question.
The owner is happy. The players are happy, too. Talked to Derek Jeter earlier in the Yankee clubhouse. Says, it's not a rah-rah thing, but it's just a feeling of normalcy that has returned to this ball club now that manager Joe Torre is indeed back. His Keystone partner, Chuck Knobloch, well, he shares pretty much the same sentiments.
I think it's outstanding. I think it's a day that everybody's been somewhat anticipating. We've got along pretty good without him, but, to have your manager back, it's a good thing. I mean, only positive things can come from it, and I think everybody's been looking forward to him coming back, which means that he's healthy again and that he's beat this cancer, and that's the most important thing.
When did you find out he was coming back?
Not till I got to the stadium today, and you kind of saw him, and then the word kind of filtered that he was coming back tonight. Tonight was his first game, and it's good.
So on top of all this, a big baseball game on tap tonight. Yankees just broke that losing streak. Now they're locked in a battle with the Red Sox for first place. We'll talk about ending the losing streak and tonight's game with that dandy pitching matchup when we return on Metro Guide. The anticipation builds here at Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. Cone against Martinez. Yankees and Red Sox coming up, separated by just a half game in the American League East. Well, New York Yankees tonight, they try and make it a two-game winning streak. They had run into some tough times, dropped 5 in a row, but they ended the streak on Sunday against the Chicago White Sox. Take a look back at how that one all turned out. Of course, it was the last time that Mel Stottlemyre and Don Zimmer would be running the team, but they didn't know it then. They go out with a win, but it didn't look like it when Ray Durham led up the ball game with this triple to Death Valley in left center field. Now, after Durham wound up on third, Frank Thomas would bring him home on a ground out, and Chicago would have a 1-0 lead. Bottom of the second, the lead was short-lived. Chili Davis with the front wood to left center field. Mike Sorotka and the rest of the White Sox watch it go. Chili's 9th of the year. Yankees in front, 2-1. Fans in the Bronx loving the moment. Move to the top of the 6th, top of the 5th. Andy Pettit nursed that lead. Big strikeout here, Frank Thomas. Frank didn't know what to do with that cutter. Andy was pumped up to end the 5th. Top of the 6th, runners in the corners. Darren Jackson with a squibber in front of the plate. Joe Girardi pounces. Pettit breaks to cover home, but hey, Joe says, I'll do it myself. Runs Maglio Ordonez back to third. Scott Brocious with the tag. And the lead remained 2-1 Yankees. It would stay that way until the top of the 9th. Mariano Rivera gets Ray Durham. The bounce to second. Ball game over. Yankees win it 2-1 as they snap the 5-game losing streak. Don Zimmer, of course, a happy camper.
We went 2-1. Andy Pettit got us some jams. We got some breaks. We got some breaks today to win the game 2-1. No question about it. How we got out of a couple of jams. You know, when you sit back and you got men on first, the other team's got men on first and third, and nobody out. In a close game, actually what you're hoping for is a double play, give them one run and get out of the inning. And we just kept getting out of the inning without giving up a run, and I call that, just a couple of lucky breaks for a change.
Chili Davis, of course, swinging a hot bat this weekend with not 1 but 2 homers. Of course, the home run on Sunday proved to be the game winner. Chili Davis, of course, happy that he's off to a fine start, leading the Yankees in homers.
I hit it pretty good. It wasn't really a pitch I was looking for, but he just got a changeup up, and today that, I guess, was my bat speed. And I put the good wood on it. I'm sure he wasn't trying to get it up there. He started me off with a changeup the last at bat and got it down, and all I could do was line out to center. But, the guy made one bad pitch and paid for it. I mean, I'm glad it's him and not us.
Chili and the American League Eastern standings, that half game we've mentioned a couple of times. Yankees with the advantage in the loss column. But again, it is only May, but still a treat for May. A big pitching matchup tonight. How often do you see a couple of former Cy Young winners get to go head-to-head? Couple of strikeout kings going. David Cone, of course, working here against the Boston Red Sox, and a tough hitter he'll face tonight, Nomar Garcia-Parra. And the New York Yankees, they haven't seen a lot of Pedro Martinez, but they did see him last year. This is more of Cone taking care of Andy Sheets with the Anaheim Angels in that 1-0 loss. That, of course, to Chuck Finley at the stadium last week. And David Cone in fine shape, as is Pedro Martinez. This is just one of the reasons why he leads the American League in wins and strikeouts, blowing away the Mariners in his last start, making it look easy. And again, off to the fine 7-1 start, leading the league in strikeouts. Should be quite a matchup. Jay Buhner goes down looking. Pedro Martinez handling Ken Griffey Jr. with the good curveball. He's got a variety of pitches, and that changeup is his bread and butter, but he'll be working it tonight. Martinez 7-1, the 1.81 earned run average. David Cone, a 4-1 record, but that 1.33, that leads the American League in the earned run average category. Take a look at the lineups tonight. Chuck Knobloch looking to heat up a little bit. He's leading off. Derek Jeter batting in second play, and Paul O'Neill in the third spot. Bernie Williams batting cleanup. Tino Martinez showing some signs of life at the plate. Chili Davis in the DH spot, followed by Jorge Posada. Chad Curtis in left field tonight getting the start, and Scott Brocious getting the start at third base. For the Boston Red Sox, Jose Alferman, their fine leadoff man, followed by Jeff Fry, Reggie Jefferson, the versatile DH. Nomar Garcia-Parra having another all-star year. Troy O'Leary, former Yankee Mike Stanley, Jason Varitek, Darren Lewis, and Trot Nixon rounding out that Boston Red Sox windup. Well, when we come back, we'll have more for you, but right now, time for Leila Spitani with a Metro Guide report for you after this commercial break on Metro Guide. It's one of the most intense rivalries in American sport, played out at one of the grandest and most historic venues in the game. It's a rivalry that features future Hall of Famers, particularly at the shortstop position, where each is in possession of an all-star. And the pitching matchup, well, tonight it's second to none. A couple of former Cy Young champions plan to have the bats doing just that as they go nose-to-nose in this important early season game. But all of these stories are secondary, for this is the night that the manager returns to take over his team and guide them to another championship season. It's New York Yankees baseball on Metro Guide, live from Fenway Park. New York Yankees taking on the Boston Red Sox in a big three-game series with a big-time pitching matchup in Game 1. David Cone 4-1 against Pedro Martinez, 7-1. Full house on hand here on a beautiful but cloudy evening here at Fenway Park in Boston, one of the oldest stadiums in all of baseball. As a matter of fact, it's between it and Tiger Stadium, but they are both grand and glorious palaces. Tonight, the big game here at Fenway Park. Pitching matchups, you've got David Cone going against Pedro Martinez, but all this is seemingly secondary. Joe Torre is coming back tonight as manager of the New York Yankees. He had a big news conference earlier before the game in the dugout. We asked Torre, when did he make up his mind that he indeed would come back tonight?
Well, that was the big thing about showing up. Even though I know players were questioning, when are you coming back, when are you coming back, I thought it was important that my presence shows them that I'm moving around and I feel good, and I'm active and all that stuff. So, I tried. I thought that was the right medicine. And again, it's a nice situation we have here because, as I say, we're a close group. We have no secrets from each other. And, you try to do what you can to help. We don't care who gets credit for, for helping somebody. That's not really a concern of ours.
So the skipper is back, and for more on tonight's game, our play-by-play team of Jim Cott and Ken Singleton.
All right, thanks a lot, Bill. Kenny, I think the reason Joe Torre came back, he didn't want to miss this pitcher's duel. I mean, if both of these pitchers pitch up to their capabilities, we're in for a real treat. David Cone coming off a tough loss in his last start.
Yeah, it was a tough loss, but he pitched well here last September 8th at Fenway Park, matched up against Pedro Martinez. David Cone, that particular night, it was the night before the Yankees clinched the division. David Cone had 11 strikeouts in a 3-2 victory over these very same Boston Red Sox September 8th of last year. Now, let's go back to his last start. We were talking about against the Anaheim Angels. That was at the stadium. That was on May the 12th, and he lost the ball game 1-0 to Chuck Finley. But David Cone had 8 strikeouts in a tough loss to Chuck Finley and the Angels.
David Cone's record now 4-1. The Yankees are 6-1 when he pitches. Look at that batting average against the best in the majors. Probably the only flaw would be the base on balls total a little bit high. That is not the case for Pedro Martinez. If you had to pick a man right now and say, who is the best pitcher in baseball, Pedro would be your guy.
Yeah, I think I'd want him on the mound, too. Pedro has been outstanding this year. He has had 6 consecutive starts with 10 or more strikeouts. This is May the 12th. You see Brian Hunter with no clue on that swing. This is against the Mariners, a 9-2 victory. Pedro struck out 15. He had all of his weapons working. Great changeup, great fastball. Check out this breaking ball with Jay Buhner. That's a good one. But watch Ken Griffey go down on this hook. No chance whatsoever Pedro's been outstanding all season long.
As if he needed it to go with that fastball and the change. He's added a better breaking ball, and it all adds up to a 7-1 record. Check the walk-strikeout ratio. He has only walked 11 men and struck out 91. Promises to be an emotional night. Joe Torre is back. A premier pitcher's duel. We'll have it all for you from Fenway Park when we come back after these words. Welcome back to Fenway Park. As our colleague Al Trautwig always says about Yankee Stadium, the most famous place in sports, this is certainly the coziest old Fenway Park, and we're happy to have you with us as Chuck Knobloch takes strike one. What else from Pedro Martinez? He will work quickly. There is no doubt in his mind what he wants to throw. Very little indecision. Just misses the outside corner, and it's 1-1. He has added Kenny as if he needed it, a little better curveball to go along with the great fastball and outstanding changeup. Popped up right side. Ex-Yankee Mike Stanley is there, and he puts it away, 1 down. Let's check out the rest of the Yankee lineup, brought to you by Genuine Chevrolet. After Chuck Knobloch comes Derek Jeter and Paul O'Neill, and Bernie Williams, Tino Martinez, and Chili Davis. Now, Joe Torre managing Jorge Posada is in the 7th spot tonight. Then Chad Curtis and Scott Brocious. Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust.
In the field for the Boston Red Sox tonight, Fry, Garcia-Parra, Offerman, and Stanley in the infield. O'Leary, Lewis, and Nixon in the outfield. Jason Varitek doing the catching for Pedro Martinez. Jeff Fry at third base missed all of last season with a knee injury.
And Derek Jeter says, we've heard all about you, Pedro, but I'm having my career year, and I'm on my way to becoming the best player in the American League. And he quickly extends his record of reaching safely in every game this year.
37 in a row now as his solid line drive. First pitch that he sees from Pedro Martinez might show you the quickness of Derek Jeter's bat this year, and he's hung with 1 down.
And as Paul O'Neill steps in, I asked Paul before the game, I said, give me a little thumbnail on your approach to Pedro Martinez. And he says, as you would expect from being a hitter, you have to look fastball early in the count and be ready for it as Jeter was, because once he gets ahead, he's got that great changeup, and now he's added the breaking ball. Paul coming off a poor homestand. Let's see. No, he didn't call time quickly enough. Ed Hickox, the home plate umpire. Your job is to protect the hitter, but O'Neill wanted time too late. Hickox wouldn't allow it at strike 1.
Here's a look at the target. It's outside. Maybe Paul stepping out threw Pedro off a little. That was over the inside corner for a strike. Yeah, had a lot of movement on it, too.
And Hickox made the right call because Martinez had already lifted his leg. He was already into his pitching motion.
Pedro with a very quick move to first base. In fact, he throws so hard to first base, David Segui and Pedro were teammates in Montreal. Pedro broke David Segui's thumb at first base.
Got to use a sponge as a first baseman as well as a catcher. There's the outstanding changeup following up the fastball. Some pitchers have a changeup that's just a change of speeds that you make contact with, not this one.
Not only a change of speeds, but change of direction. This pitch falls off away from Paul O'Neill. When you throw in the mid-90s and you have a changeup in the 60s, that's 30-mile-per-hour difference. And when you can make them both look the same coming out of your hand, very difficult for a hitter to catch up to either one.
Just outside. Interesting, prior to the game, Joe Torre got a very warm ovation from the fans here, particularly behind the Yankee dugout when he brought the lineup card out. And then to counter that, as Pedro Martinez walked in, he got a rousing ovation from the Fenway faithful down the right field line. You can see Jeter is barely getting his lead is nowhere near the cutout at first base. Great respect for Pedro Martinez's ability to get the ball to first base quickly.
A lot of pressure on the first baseman, though. If the throw is off just a little bit, he's going to have the quick hand. Speaking of Mike Stanley.
Got him. The change up again. You can know it's coming as a hitter. Doesn't make any difference. That is a strikeout type change up. The first for Martinez, second out in the Yankee frame. Here's Joe Torre bringing out the lineup card. And responding to the applause. Quite an emotional day here at the stadium. And the guy who's in the most relaxed frame of mind is Don Zimmer. Zim is back to being a bench coach and enjoying, as he always does, his time here at Fenway Park. It's Bernie Williams stepping in. Bernie, one of the few hitters, the other might be Chad Curtis, who has had reasonable success against Martinez. There you saw his season numbers. Couldn't check in time. Strike one. Bernie 4 for 13 against Martinez lifetime.
Yeah, Pedro has added a cutter to throw to the left-handed hitter, so that's something else that a lefty hitter has to look for.
Add up the hits and walks. That's just incredible. Less than a base runner per inning. 8 base runners per 9 innings for a starting pitcher. There's that's in for strike 0-2. I think Brett Saberhagen in one of his Cy Young years had that. To do that over a course of a season is unheard of. As Joe Kerrigan, the Red Sox pitching coach on the right, and manager Jimmy Williams look on.
Look out.
Now that appeared to be bigger than the cutter. That would be his breaking ball. So the cutter is really a fourth pitch.
Nice job of coming up with this pitch by Jason Varitek. Saved the wild pitch.
Almost got Bernie Williams in the toe. When a pitcher, right-hander, throws a cutter to a left-hander, it should break in more about belt buckle high. Bernie Williams lays off a very tough pitch.
Well, Bernie has the ability to take pitches, close pitches, and I think he's earned a reputation around the league and from the umpires that he's not one to go out of the strike zone. If he does, it's more apt to be on a high pitch rather than a low one.
Jeter on the run. Out of the reach of Garcia Parra. Lewis playing perfectly in center field will field it. And the Yankees, with 2 hits off Pedro Martinez here in the first inning, have runners at the corners with 2 down. Good at bat by Bernie Williams.
Didn't chase the pitches that were down. Now this is a changeup. And somehow he stayed with it, kept his hands back, lined it by Garcia Parra, who had moved over to cover second with Jeter running. You'll see Jeter take off. Garcia Parra is moving towards the bag, and the ball will elude him and go to the outfield. Jeter's on his way to third, and look at him hustle. He's running, rounding the bag. If something goes wrong in the outfield, or if there's a misplay on the relay, he might have been able to score. Good hustle on the bases.
So what might be the Yankees' best opportunity to score against Martinez here in the first inning. Off the inside corner, ball 1. Jimmy Williams' team, as he sends the signals in to catcher Jason Varitek, they've won 9 of their last 11. And Joe Torre happy to be back in the Yankee dugout. 2-0. As he told our Bill Daughtry on our scorecard show, it's one thing to watch it on TV, but he said you lose sight of the player after they come back to the bench. Now he gets the body language, the dugout talk, the feedback from guys that he uses as some input.
Yes, it can be very informative as to what's going on the field.
Right center field and hit well, but Trot Nixon is there near the Red Sox bullpen to put it away. So the Yankees have some pretty good swings at Pedro Martinez in the first inning, but they strand a pair. David Cone to take the mound at Fenway when we come back after these messages. David Cone completes his warm-up tosses here as he tries to match Pedro Martinez in what promises to be a terrific pitcher's duel. Here's the Boston lineup right at the top. What a terrific year he's having. Jose Offerman, then Jeff Fry filling in for the injured John Valentin. Reggie Jefferson hits third, then Nomar Garciaparra, Troy O'Leary, Mike Stanley the bottom third, Jason Varitek, Darren Lewis, and Trot Nixon. Brought to you by genuine Chevrolet.
Now in the field for the Yankees, Brosius, Jeter, Knobloch, and Martinez. Curtis, Williams, and O'Neill in the outfield. Jorge Posada doing the catching for David Cone tonight. Chad Curtis will get the start tonight in left field. Lately, it has been Shane Spencer. But tonight, Joe Torre, the first game back, will put the veteran Curtis out in left field. And maybe because he, 3 for 7 lifetime against Pedro Martinez.
It almost looks, Joe Torre had said, Kenny, we see David Cone's numbers in those 7 starts. The Yankees are 6-1. And the only difference between Cone and Martinez is the base on balls total. And in David's brilliant performance in his last start, the only run the Angels got was a result of a leadoff walk. We talked at one of our earlier telecasts about those lines. See the lines right in there, that the pitchers actually, that territory between those lines and the plate is really what the pitcher sights in. If you throw the ball between there and the inside line, that's your turf. But I think Jorge wants those lines out of there. For what reasons?
Well, balls in the dirt might hit one of those lines, and it puffs up. You get the lime that might come up in your eyes, and certainly don't want that. So Jorge did a pretty good job of obliterating whatever lime there was up there.
Here's Jose Offerman. Ball 1. He leads the league in doubles and triples. He's hitting .345. He's got a great on-base percentage. Not a power hitter. Two 2-0. He is on pace, and he's only done this once in his career to walk more often than he strikes out, which is what you'd like to see in a leadoff hitter.
Yeah, particularly in Fenway Park, where you can get something going in a hurry.
David Cone's body language, even between pitches, you'll see him stretching, almost like he's having a little difficulty getting loose tonight.
Power slider has been great. Match game.
Wow.
And the reason why I put match game in there is because the second game in a row he's matched up against a real tough pitcher. Last time out, May the 12th, it was Chuck Finley. As Joe Torre looks on and Tony walks the first man he faces.
That, as we pointed out, is the only difference in these two pitchers. And what David Cone, if you watch him over the years, his approach is, I do not want to give up the first run. And he pitches very, very cautiously in the early part of the ball game. You'll see a lot of deep counts. He'll almost pitch the first or second inning as if it's the 9th inning, especially when you're going against Martinez. Here's Jeff Fry. On the run, his Offerman throw is there, and he got him. Wow, big break. I don't know if that was a misread on the hit and run sign. Offerman with a quick glance in at the plate, but in a game with these two pitchers, that's a huge out.
Jorge Posada makes a very strong throw. Now Offerman leads the Red Sox in stolen bases. Good pitch to throw on, out over the plate. And there it is, right there, and Jeter gets the tag down quickly. Offerman leads the Red Sox in stolen bases with 7, but he's been caught 5 times now, so that's not a good ratio.
Breaking ball. Misses. Let's check out, see if he looks in, Kenny. See if it's a hit and run or a steal.
It looks like it's a straight steal. He does not look in to see what Fry will do with the bat.
Exactly. Just a good throw by Posada. Got him. That's in for a strike. 1 and 2. You mentioned Jeff Fry missed all of last year with a knee injury. And you see the average. If it were not for John Valentin's sore knee tonight, he wouldn't be in the lineup. Two and 2.
Yeah, there's John Valentin. I talked to John in the Red Sox clubhouse before the game. He said it's tendonitis. He can pinch hit if he has to, but right now they're going to give him a few days off and rest it. He doesn't want to go on the disabled list.
Don't blame him. He pinch hit last night, and he Cone looked in where that, and he's making a motion to Ed Hickox. Was that pitch high? He thought he had strike 3, and the count's now full to Fry. Valentin pinch hit last night's game. The Red Sox came up with 5 in the 9th to win it. Fry stays alive. Off ex-Yankee Graham Lloyd.
Jeff Fry can play third, mostly second. I've seen him in the outfield from time to time. 5'9", 170 pounds.
He would be to the Red Sox what Luis Sojo is to the Yankees.
Yeah, but Soho's bigger. That's a small fry.
Small fry. Putting a tough at bat on David Cone, and again you see one of the other subtle differences in these two pitchers. Pedro Martinez, even though he gave up 2 hits in the first inning, threw primarily strikes. David Cone, with 1 out, has already thrown a lot of pitches. And again, Fry reaches and pokes that out of play.
Yeah, I think Fry helped him out by swinging at that pitch and fouling it off. They look like ball 4.
Red Sox without Mo Vaughn doing a good job of hanging in the American League East, just a half game behind the Yankees. Popped up right field, O'Neill, and he'll put it away. Second out of the inning. Mentioned Ed Hickox behind the plate. We just had this crew in Yankee Stadium. Our umpire lineup brought to you by NAM, National Arbitration and Mediation, the most timely, cost-effective way to settle your legal disputes. There is the chief of all chiefs, Larry Barnett, at first base, and then Greg Kosk and Dan Morrison.
Ed Hickox, a lot of pressure on a second-year umpire tonight. Going to see some great pitching.
Here's Reggie Jefferson, curveball in for a strike. And I know the umpires are, with their union, are very strong in their statement that all of our umpires are equal and they're all the same, but you almost wonder in a matchup like this why they wouldn't put one of the more experienced umpires behind the plate. Quickly 0-2, and maybe their answer would be, hey, this guy's got to get his experience sooner or later. We stay in the same rotation. Jefferson has 3 home runs against David Cone in his career. Got him with the backdoor breaking ball, or a splitter. Looks like it might have gone down and away, or the backdoor hook. Good sharp breaking ball. And after the leadoff walk, Cone settles down. We've played 1 in this anticipated pitcher's duel. No score. New York Yankee Baseball brought to you in part by Cadillac Seville STS, with all the power and technology of the North Star system. It's what's next. And by MCS Cannon, keeping people in business. We head to the second as Chili Davis steps in, batting 6th in the Yankee lineup. Outside for ball. Actually, both pitchers in the first inning threw 16 pitches. David Cone, the last 7 pitches he threw were all strikes, so he made a nice comeback to get on track.
Now Chili Davis, the hitting hero on Sunday afternoon in front of a big crowd at Yankee Stadium. That 2-run home run that he hit off Mike Sorotka.
Ripped Sis down in the corner. Nixon will have to play it out of the corner. Chili Davis into second with a double, and in the early part of the game, Jeter, Williams, Tino Martinez, now Chili Davis have all had good swings against Martinez.
It's hard to tell what that pitch is slow motion, but it goes to the corner. You know, we were talking about the years ago when the Red Sox had Jim Rice and Fred Lynn and Dwight Evans out there in the outfield. This is not the same type of outfield. You're going to look at the contact. That pitch is inside. Chili quick, brings that elbow in. Lefties like that ball down and in, don't they?
Anybody down and in, right, lefty to righty or righty to lefty. That is the prime spot. Here's Posada. There's the changeup for strike 1, and here's one of the influences, I think, already of Joe Torre being back in the dugout. Mentioned earlier, he never interfered at all with Don Zimmer's managing of the ball club, or Zim's lineups, but you see Posada up in the 7th spot. Shows bunt, and Chili Davis will get back in time. Last few games, Posada has been hitting 9th and Brocious 8th. So the bottom third is shifted around a little bit in this game.
Well, Jason Varitek getting Chili Davis's uniform dirty out there at second base. Sometimes DHs can go a whole game without getting dirty.
And they don't like that. They like to run the pillows and be in the middle of it. Low. Posada with one thing in mind right here. Sure, he'd like to get a base hit. He's only hitting a .61, .64 left-handed. And see what he's done lately, but at least hit a ground ball to the right side and advance Davis. Late on the fastball.
I think that's easier said than done with Pedro Martinez pitching. He can throw that changeup. He can jam you with a fastball like he did there. So when you're hitting against Pedro, you almost always have to look for the fastball, but you have to adjust to the other pitches. But the adjustments are so major that that's what makes him difficult to hit. There's Jimmy Williams. We have quite a difference in the managers. Jimmy Williams spent 14 games in the major leagues as opposed to a long and outstanding career for Joe Torre.
Just a bit high, and the count's full. Curtis waits on deck. Chad has not had a lot of playing time lately. Shane Spencer has been in there most of the time since being recalled from Columbus. Well, he's shaken off at least 3 or 4 signs from Veritek. Ooh, good swing again by Posada. Shane waiting and watching from the Yankee dugout tonight.
Spencer has never hit against Pedro Martinez.
He doesn't know what he's missing. But the rest of those Yankee and American League hitters can tell him about it. Up the middle. Fielded by Garciaparra. The throw to Stanley in time, but a nice at bat by Posada with a 2-strike count. Puts it in play, got it through the legs of Martinez, and advances the runner. Productive out.
Good job of advancing the runner, but you know he would have liked to have a hit. Anytime you hit a ball that bounces right over the bag at second, you figure you might have a hit. Not with Nomar Garciaparra. First of all, shaded to his left, behind the bag on the second base side of second, and throws out Posada by a step. Good play by the Boston Red Sox shortstop.
And just to show you what both managers think about the pitchers in this game, as Curtis steps in already in the second inning, the infield in. Low for a ball. If it were any other pitcher, or most any other pitcher but David Cone, I think Jimmy Williams would say, we'll play back, we'll take the out, we'll give you a run early. And Curtis has done well against Martinez, but in this game, and with respect for Cone's ability to shut down your lineup, you don't want to give up that first run. And on the hands, fouled out of play, 1-1.
Pedro has a lot of movement on his fastball. Usually runs in on the hands of the right-handed hitters. Earlier in his career, that pitch got him in a lot of trouble because he would sail in and hit those right-handed hitters. He was not as capable of pitching inside to righties as he is now. His control is much, much better, and he maintains the fact that he can still throw the ball 90, 95 miles an hour up towards the plate with his fastball.
Low. 2-1. And Willie Randolph whispering some words to Chili Davis as Brocious waits on deck. You know, with Chili's speed in the infield end, they really can't put the contact play on. They have to make the ball go through unless it's a really high chopper. 15 years ago, it would have been a different story for Chili. Off-speed pitch, 2-2.
Yeah, the hitter is going to have to drive Chili Davis in. He's not going to be able to score in one of those slow choppers. 0 for 23 with runners on base. That's not even with runners in scoring position. That's runners on base.
Chad, a much more anxious hitter with men on base.
Have to go back to Spike Owen, who was 0 for 33 with runners on base in 1993.
Got him. Curtis down again to prolong the streak, and there's the ability of Pedro Martinez to come up with a big strikeout in a clutch situation, and that's two-way in the Yankees' second.
Yeah, I think the same thing applies to David Combs. We see a ball, a pitch fouled off, 1-1, little low ball, 2-1. Good changeup, 2-2, runs the fastball right on by him and strikes him out. David Cone and Pedro have the ability to make the big strike, get a big strikeout in a tough situation.
You can almost see with that follow through by Pedro that a little extra drive toward Varitek on that one. Here's Brocious in his familiar number 9 spot.
Look at him.
Never lose those reactions.
Oh, man.
Those pitches up and in. Well, that's what you were talking about, that earlier in Pedro's career, he had a lot of guys running out to the mound on that pitch because he couldn't control it. Ended up hitting a lot of guys.
Gee, I bailed out too.
And on the hands near the Yankee dugout. Fry giving chase, as is Garcia Parra. That'll find the first row. Knobloch waits on deck, gives us a chance to check out our Marriott Marquis pitching matchup with these two right-handers tonight. David Cone has never lost at Fenway Park. He's 5-0. Both earned run averages almost identical. And Pedro Martinez, in his brief stay here in Boston, is 12-4 at friendly Fenway. Two and one. Both pitchers early on, I think, kind of testing out. Yeah, there's another guy that didn't lose often here, did he?
Well, the fact is that only 5 pitchers have won their first 5 decisions here at Fenway. Mel Stottlemyre is one of them. Jim Palmer, Ed Figueroa, Brett Saberhagen, Mel Stottlemyre, and David Cone.
Misses again. I think both pitchers testing early here the strike zone of Ed Hickox. You see a lot of pitches at or near the corner that are very close. And so far, they've all been balls. Not that Hickox is missing them, but that's what pitchers try to do. Just find out how big that zone is going to be.
Yeah, but these guys are good enough. Once they realize the limits, they can get within city limits and then go right outside the city limits.
Here's the best hitting count Scott Brocious could hope for. 3-1 against Martinez with 2 away. He doesn't get the fastball. He gets the changeup, and the count's full. We're told that pitch 82 miles an hour.
All right, so you take off about 13 miles per hour from his fastball, and you can see how far out in front Brocious is expecting the heat.
Fans would like to see Pedro's 3rd strikeout. Joe Torre, not one of those pulling for a strikeout here. Got him. Came back with a breaking ball, and Brocious knew it. Called strike 3. He's got 3 strikeouts through 2 innings. David Cone heads back to the mound. Still no score at Fenway. Back at Fenway, we head to the bottom of the 2nd, no score. And we remind you that baseball's greatest rivalry will continue next week back at the stadium as the Boston Red Sox battle in the Bronx. That's a 3-game series. It starts May 24th, 2 night games, and then a day game. Right now, Roger Clemens would be scheduled to pitch that day game on the 26th. Tickets available by calling the stadium box office or Ticketmaster or on the web at www.yankees.com. Roger Clemens slated right now to pitch Friday night in Chicago, and that would set him up for next Wednesday. Nomar Garcia Parra, after missing the first part of the season with a hamstring injury, is starting to produce again for the Red Sox. Breaking ball swung on and missed.
Well, there are those who thought that Garcia Parra would not have as good a year without Mo Vaughn in the Boston lineup, but as you can see, 336 with 5 home runs and 29 runs batted in, taking over the cleanup spot. He's doing all right.
I think he's the kind of hitter that will go outside the strike zone a little. That's in for a strike. And not worry about what kind of protection he has behind him. Troy O'Leary hitting behind him. See what he's done the last 11 games. 2 of those home runs, grand slams. And Troy O'Leary hitting behind him has 8 home runs. That's outside, 1 and 2. They matched up last September. David Cone, Pedro Martinez, and the Yankees won that one 3-2. Just off the corner, 2 and 2. It was the last time 2 former Cy Young winners matched up as O'Leary waits on deck. In fact, it's only happened one other time in the history of these two franchises. Now the count's gone full. We have to go back to 1976 when Catfish Hunter and Fergie Jenkins, two former Cy Young Award winners, hooked up in a Yankee Red Sox game. Right field, O'Neill is there. One away.
Doesn't appear that they want to give Nomar a fastball to swing at. Started him with a curve and ended it with a curve.
Number 25. There's the battles between former Cy Young Award winners. We were talking about that. The Yankees in both of those games, 8-3 they won in 76. We mentioned last year that win put David Cone at 19-5 and Pedro Martinez at 18-5. Here's O'Leary, and I think you said the night after that is when the Yankees clinched the division.
Yeah, their record went to 102-41 on September the 9th. They beat the Red Sox 7-5 and won the division.
Out in front of the breaking ball, and O'Leary lofts a high fly to center. Bernie Williams is there, 2 down.
Batting 6th, number 24, the first baseman.
Well, as you can imagine, both of these guys follow the careers of one another, and this is what Pedro Martinez had to say about David Cone on our American Express quote book.
Yeah, nothing to put on the bulletin board there, huh?
Nope.
You don't want to get the other side riled up.
Here's Mike Stanley in the lineup tonight, even though the Red Sox, and we'll probably see him in this series, have a rookie minor league veteran, first baseman Brian Daubach, who was a hero in last night's game. He's a left-hand hitter. It's a good breaking ball, and it's 1-1 to Stanley. But Jimmy Williams going with the veteran Mike Stanley tonight. Maybe he needs a catcher over at first base to catch the hard pickoff throws from Martinez.
David Cone with the outstanding breaking ball. Mel Stoudemire said he's really getting on top of the hook. Oh, except when he drops down and throws it sidearm like the last one.
Yeah, he turns 3 pitches into 6 or 7 because he can come up over the top, 3/4, sidearm. 1-2.
Got a nice little rhythm going this inning as opposed to last inning.
Did he go? That looked like the splitter, and they checked with Larry Barnett, the crew chief. No swing, and the count's level at 2. Looking for his first hit against David Cone. Inside, another full count. Waiting on deck, catcher Jason Varitek. Hit well, left field. Curtis on the run is going to make a nice sliding backhand grab. Nice play by Chad Curtis on the vicious sinking liner by Mike Stanley. One more look at it as we go to break. And we've played 2 here at Fenway. As advertised, still no score. Back after this. Back at Fenway, no score. Kenny, 3 hits for the Yankees. Sometimes if you don't take advantage of those opportunities early against a guy like Martinez, you never get any more.
They have left 3 men on in the first 2 innings, including a first and third in the first inning. Chuck Knobloch's going to lead it off. After popping out to Mike Stanley at first base, Knobloch is now 1 for his last 35. And the first pitch is dropped in there for a strike. And we are all wondering when Chuck is going to get his groove back.
Kind of tough to expect him to get it back against Martinez. That's what he did in the homestand.
Fastball towards the middle. Garcia-Parra near the bag at second will throw out Chuck Knobloch, and the bleeding continues for Knobloch. Now 1 for 36 after grounding out to Garcia-Parra. 1 down.
Going back to your comment about Knobloch, Chuck's strength when he came up, Rookie of the Year 1991, was whenever he got a little off track, he had the ability to hit the ball to right field. We have not seen, even that pitch there was inside, it jammed him. We haven't seen him really take the ball the other way, and that's usually the way guys try to get out of slumps.
Derek Jeter singled on the first pitch he saw, his average up to 366. And with that base hit, extended a current hitting streak to 13 games in a row. 93 miles an hour on that last fastball from Pedro Martinez. There's another one inside. 2 balls and no strikes on Jeter. One thing Pedro Martinez has improved on this year, he gave up a home run in his first start of the year on April the 7th. He gave up a home run in his last start. He's only given up 2 this season. Bouncing ball wide to third into left field for a base hit. Jeter is now 2 for 2. And had struggled against Pedro Martinez previously, having gone only 2 for 13.
One to right, now one to left, and as Derek ran down the first baseline, Martinez turned around and glanced at him as if, you're ready for that inside pitch. He's one guy, would not be surprising to see Martinez move off the plate and try to make him hit a breaking ball in his next at bat.
Paul O'Neill will come to the plate. Struck out on a changeup. O'Neill's been a very good hitter against Boston pitching during his career. 342 lifetime against the Red Sox. Here's a toss over to first base.
Might see Joe Torre. You don't often do it with the heart of your batting order, but you might see Joe Torre, his first game back as manager, with a little counsel from Don Zimmer. Start the runner, try to make a few things happen. You don't get a lot of opportunities against Martinez.
That is outside, ball 1. I mentioned that Pedro had cut down on home runs. He gave up 26 home runs last year, only 2 so far this year. And he has a lot in common with David Cone in that respect, because David Cone's only given up 1 home run this year. So you would think in a game where it's tough to get hits and put things together, a home run might help you. That might not be the case tonight. O'Neill back through the middle, base hit. Jeter's the second and will hold on as Darren Lewis comes up with the ball and gets it back in. So with 1 out, the Yankees have backed up singles and have 2 on.
And again, another left-hand hitter with a good swing. That pitch up and away, and O'Neill got on top of it just out of the reach of Martinez. They've hit a couple right back at him.
Yankees now with 5 hits in the early going in this game. And Bernie Williams has 1 of it. Bernie was particularly tough on Boston pitching last year on his way to winning the batting title. Maybe because he knew he had to battle Mo Vaughn down to the wire. 391 against Boston. And he's 1 for 1 this year. Takes a fastball on the inner half for a called strike.
See once if they go at him differently. That's what makes both these pitchers as good as they are. They will mix their pattern up. Bernie took a couple of close breaking balls, end up hitting a changeup in his first at bat. That was a fastball on the inside corner.
The Yankees are coming off a homestand in which they only hit .239 as a team in 9 games. Fouled back.
Note on that pitch, he shook off Veritek twice and went back to the same pitch. It's like he hit his changeup the first time. I'm going to keep him honest with the inside fastballs.
The Yankees were also shut out twice on this most recent homestand, and maybe a change of scenery. Maybe the hitter-friendly Fenway Park would get the Yankee bats going. They have 5 hits off of Pedro in 2 1/3 innings. And now we're going to have a discussion between Veritek and Martinez. Signs get a little more complicated with the runner at second.
Now, pitchers would prefer, particularly in an inning like this, you got 2 quick strikes on the premier hitter, to be able to just get the sign and throw it. But if there's any doubt in Veritek's mind, certainly that's the thing to do. He threw a couple of signs down there. Martinez didn't acknowledge him. He'd go out and say, what do you want to do on 0-2?
Now, how close did Bernie Williams come to becoming a member of the Boston Red Sox over the winter?
Very close.
Swung on and missed. And Pedro Martinez gets it on a high fastball. Strikeout number 4 for Pedro, and the second out this inning.
Pedro said, you got a base hit on my changeup. You didn't look good on the fastball. I'm coming back with one more. And look at the move. Not only 95, but the movement moving up and away.
2 on and 2 out. It almost looked like the same pitch that Paul O'Neill hit back through the middle. Tino Martinez. Flight out to right field, 0 for 1. Line drive, base hit, and towards the corner. Derek Jeter's going to score the game's first run. O'Neill digging hard, will be held up at third. And Tino Martinez drives in the first run with a double. The Yankees' 6th hit of the ball game and their first run.
Had a solid swing at him in the first at bat and flied out to right center. This is an off-speed pitch. Just a little bit more of the plate than Martinez wanted. You see Jeter immediately can read that's down in the corner. He'll score the first run. And there you see contact right in the sweet spot.
Hitters like that pitch about thigh high. They can lift up on it a little bit. That is ball 1 to Chili Davis. Had his 9th double of the season. Check that. That's a strike. Chili doubled leading off the second inning. Got as far as third base, but was stalled there in the second. Good breaking ball. Swung on and missed. Strike 2. Yankees with 3 hits this inning. Single by Jeter, single by O'Neill, and a double by Martinez. Davis in the hole, no balls and 2 strikes. Chili Davis, one of the Yankees that continued to hit on this past homestand. High fastball is fouled off. You saw the sign of Veritek that was not supposed to be a strike.
Kenny, thinking back to Tino Martinez at bat, you might identify with this as a hitter. It's almost like Tino said he threw Bernie Williams 3 straight fastballs. He's not going to throw 4 fastballs in a row. I'm going up there looking for a changeup. He was right on it.
That's why it pays to pay attention in that on-deck circuit. 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball, bounce to the right side for Offerman. He'll throw out Chili Davis, but not before the Yankees come up with a run against Pedro Martinez. So we played 2.5 here at Fenway Park in Boston. David Cohen and the Yankees lead by 1. Well, there's the view from the bleachers at Fenway Park, and a reminder that New York Yankees baseball is brought to you in part by GMC Jimmy. Do one thing, do it well, and by American General Financial Group. Live the life you've imagined. Cozy Fenway Park in Boston. David Cohen matched against Pedro Martinez. So far, David Cohen has yet to allow a hit. He'll face Jason Veritek, Darren Lewis, and Trot Nixon here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Jason Veritek had been sharing time with Scott Hatteberg, but Hatteberg's had a sore elbow, and the Red Sox have called up Mandy Romero to be the backup catcher. Off-speed pitch in there for a called strike.
Jason Veritek, Kenny, would never say that he would do it differently, but looking back, you wonder where his career might be today if he had signed early.
Slow roller down the third base side. Brocious cannot handle it, and Veritek will have an infield single. First hit for the Boston Red Sox. And you're talking about his when he decided to stay in school.
Yeah, they're going to check the baseball now to see if this didn't hit him in the foot, but it didn't. It hit off the end of the bat. Only play Brocious had was to try to barehand it. He was #1 draft pick. See him legging it out down the line at Minnesota. He opted not to sign, didn't get enough money, went a whole year without playing. He was actually drafted a year ahead of Garcia Parra, and had he signed and played 3-4 years with Minnesota, financially he would be much better off today than he is here.
Both players out of the good program at Georgia Tech. Here's Darren Lewis, and it's outside for a ball. Lewis, known primarily for his glove, was a Gold Glove winner in the National League back in 1994 with the Giants. Last 11 games, though, he's come alive with the bat. Veritek a conservative lead over at first. There's a call strike, 1-1 on Lewis. David Cone, 7-2 lifetime against the Boston Red Sox. And we mentioned one of 5 pitchers to win their first 5 decisions versus the Red Sox here at Fenway. And over the years, you know, they like to bring those right-handers in here, toss over the first.
Though I think it's a great park for left-handers. That's a bit of a myth because the Red Sox have had a lot of batting champions as left-hand hitters, and there's a lot of left-hand pitchers. The left-handers, they keep that shoulder in and pepper it off the wall. The left-hand pitchers keep the ball down and away. It's a long way to right field here.
Outside for ball 2. When you think of the left-handers they've had over the years, like Bill Lee and John Tudor and
Mel Parnell.
Yeah, you go back even further.
And a lot of batting champions, a couple of them right up there. Yastrzemski, Ted Williams, and you add Boggs and Billy Goodman, Pete Runnels, Freddie Lynn, all those guys to that list. A lot of big-time left-hand hitters here.
Ball 3. David Cone misses high and outside to Darren Lewis.
It's typical what we've seen all year, that borderline pitch, if it is borderline, near the outside corner. Umpires are getting very, very, I guess I'd say, accurate. They're not getting too generous with that pitch.
Ground ball to the right side, might be 2. Knobloch to Jeter for 1, and no relay. Lewis has good speed, and I don't think they would have got it. But they do get the lead runner.
Could have been 2, but Derek Jeter actually made a really good play here. Watch Knobloch's throw. The Jeter has to reach way to the center field side. Now, a shortstop is coming across that bag with some momentum. He'd like to catch it chest high, but instead you see Jeter had to alter his course just to make the catch, and then he had no chance for 2.
Now, you like to have that momentum leading you towards the first base bag. That one took him out towards right field. Lewis with good speed. There was a throw over the first base. And here is Trot Nixon, heralded former #1 draft pick for the Red Sox. Lewis is not going, and the pitch is lifted towards center field. Bernie Williams on the run. Can't get it. It's going to be Curtis to come up with it in the gap and get it back in. So Trot Nixon with a base hit. And the Red Sox have runners at first and second with 1 out here in the bottom of the 3rd.
Nixon finally getting a chance to play on a regular basis and showing the promise that the Red Sox thought they had when they drafted him back in 1993. There's Lewis. He'll read the ball to the outfield. Can he catch it? No. No chance to go to 3rd.
2 on with 1 out, and now the top of the order, and Jose Offerman, who drew a walk but then was caught stealing by Jorge Posada. Knocked down by Posada. That's ball 1. Offerman leads the American League in 2 base hits with 18. Last year with Kansas City before signing on with the Red Sox as a free agent, and a lot of people felt his contract was out of line. And the reason why I say it's not that you're against him making money, but his contract elevated contracts of other players throughout Major League Baseball who are about the same category as Offerman. Good offensive player, maybe not too skilled on defense, but he's come on it and done the job for Boston offensively. But a lot of people felt that General Manager Dan Duquette overpaid at $26 million for Jose Offerman. Swing and a miss on an off-speed pitch, 1-1.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for and I don't say this with any disrespect, a one-dimensional, but he's an offensive player, not a Gold Glove second baseman. There's an outstanding changeup or splitter by Cone.
A ball and a strike on Offerman. But when you look at how much Mo Vaughn got from the Angels, they saved themselves a piece of change. Splitter to the corner for a call strike.
But I think right now they'd rather have Mo Vaughn hitting in this spot than Offerman is a table setter. Mo Vaughn is a run producer. There again is back-to-back splitters or off-speed pitches by David Cone. That one right on the corner.
There is General Manager Dan Duquette, who does have a portion of the Red Sox pregame show that he does every day. Tried to backdoor breaking ball, and it's just outside, 2-2.
You see the reaction of David Cone. Any borderline pitch. Now, Posada sets up just a bit outside, and Ed Hickok says, no, that ball broke around the plate.
David Cone dropping to his knees. Runners at first and second with one out. Spin move. I mentioned Dan Duquette with the portion of the Boston Red Sox pregame show on radio. And Jerry Trupiano, the longtime radio guy here in Boston, said, yeah, they're going to come out with a CD at the end of the year, the best of two. Opperman swings and misses on a split finger and strikes out. David Cone picks up his second strikeout.
Well, with a couple of men on and a chance to keep this one-run lead, David Cone was not going to let Offerman hit a fastball. Nice block there by Posada. Then another off-speed pitch. That catches the corner 1-2. Backdoor breaking ball just misses, and then another splitter. So he appeared to get 2 curves or sliders and 3 splitters.
And that'll leave it up to Jeff Fry with 2 down. We mentioned Fry missed all of the '98 season, was injured in a spring training drill. They were working on rundowns, and his knee buckled, and that was it for the season. He'd already had his other knee worked on in the previous season, so he has had both knees surgically repaired. In 1997, Jeff Fry played 127 games and hit .312 for the Red Sox, and was Mr. Indispensable as far as filling in at different positions. Slider to the corner, a ball and a strike. David Cone trying to work out of a jam here in the third and maintain that 1-0 Yankee lead. There's the Rocket, who was besieged by reporters, as you might expect, coming back to Boston. They were all hoping he would pitch here on Thursday. Popped up to the infield. Derek Jeter near the bag at second, puts it away, and David Cone does get out of the jam. He allows a couple of hits, but no runs here in the third. We have played 3 full innings here at Fenway Park. The Yankees lead 1-0. 1-0 Yankees, top of the 4th inning here at Fenway Park. Yankees have out-hit the Red Sox 6-2. Speaking of hitting, heavyweight boxing returns to the theater on Saturday, June 19th. Don't miss a battle of top heavyweight contenders. One undefeated heavyweight specialist Michael Grant takes on Bronx native Lou Savarese in the fight for the future. Tickets available at the Garden box office, all Ticketmaster outlets, including the Wiz stores, and online at thegarden.com. The charge by phone, call 212-307-7171. That's knockout specialist Michael Grant. Here is Jorge Posada, who was robbed of a hit on a nice play by Garcia Parra in the second. Pedro starts him off with a curve, and it's in for a strike. There is Garcia Parra.
Fidgets as much in the field as he does at the plate, doesn't he?
Martinez shakes off one pitch. Now he's ready. Backs him off the plate with a curve, and the count will go to a ball and a strike.
Be interesting if we see more of that this inning, Kenny. Last inning, 15 pitches, 12 of them were strikes, and the Yankees touched him up for a run.
Misses with another hook. 2 balls and a strike. Pedro's only had 1 game this year where he hasn't walked anybody. That's amazing because of the fact he's only walked a total of 11 all year. He has not walked anybody tonight. Manager Jimmy Williams did a good job here with the Red Sox. Outside ball 3. Red Sox last year finished 92-70 under Jimmy Williams. And people have a tendency to forget that was his second best record during the regular season. The Red Sox got the wild card, then lost to Cleveland in the division series. Little looper towards left field. Troy O'Leary is there and makes the catch. And there's 1 down. Aflac trivia question tonight. Who is the only pitcher to strike out 10 Yankees in a game this season?
Curtis.
Oh. Well, if people have been watching the Yankees recently, they'll come up with that one quite easily. We referred to it on our open of our telecast, and that pitcher that did that is pitching tonight.
In fact, he struck out more than 10.
He's pitching a little bit south of here down in Camden Yards.
Little bouncer towards the third baseman, Fry, who charges, throws the first, and there's 2 outs. Jeff Fry was playing in on the grass for Chad Curtis, somewhat surprisingly, because Curtis was hitting shot after shot out of here in batting practice.
Scott Brocious.
2 down, nobody on, and here is Scott Brocious. Called out on strikes back in the first inning. Make that the second inning. Brocious had a hit in every game that he played in Fenway Park last year. That's in for a strike. Went 10 for 21 here at Fenway with a homer. Some parks you just feel comfortable in. And this is one of them if you're a hitter. Tried to check, did he? The appeal? He did not swing, according to Larry Barnett. 2 balls and no strikes. Here's a looper towards center field, and it's a base hit. They didn't get the good wood, but he got the good results. A base hit for Scott Brocious. And now he's hitting 7 in a row here at Fenway. Hit number...
hit number 6. The Yankees, I think, feeling very comfortable. It's like in the pregame meetings, they're saying this guy's only walked 11. He's going to throw it over. Make that hit number 7. And that's why I expect pretty quick here we're going to see Pedro Martinez to go off the plate a little more and make these Yankee hitters feel a little less comfortable.
No, I don't know how you could feel any more less comfortable than Chuck Knobloch. At 1 for 35 now. 0 for 2 tonight. Pedro checks on the runner at first base. Make that 1 for 36 with the 0 for 2. Breaking ball drops in for a strike. 0 for his last 28 at bats against right-handers. Longest since...
Was that Doug Sanders?
Deion Sanders back in 1990. And Deion was a left-handed hitter. Knobloch rips it by Willie Randolph at third. Willie still has the quickness. And I'm amazed that more coaches don't get hit.
That's why they put a lot of those middle infielders down there. Got quick feet.
Happy young lady. Ice cream and a baseball. What else do you need? They don't let it get too far away. It might not come back. Yep, that's it. Knobloch in the hole. No balls and 2 strikes. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. And the drought continues for Chuck Knobloch. Strikeout number 5 for Pedro Martinez. 3.5 have been played. As Knobloch goes down swinging, the Yankees still lead 1-0. Bottom of the 4th, Yankees clinging to a 1-0 lead against the Red Sox. And tonight we're here on Metro Guide, courtesy of the Yankees. And our Delta Airlines upcoming schedule. Tomorrow we'll be back on MSG at 7 p.m. and then on Thursday 6:30 on Metro Guide, courtesy of the Yankees once again. And then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, check the times there. All 3 games will be on MSG. Reggie Jefferson takes a pitch for a strike, and Reggie's a good low ball hitter. But at his first at bat, he was called out on strikes. Another Red Sox player has been plagued by some injuries, had some back problems the last couple of years.
Red Sox, speaking of injuries, made a roster move prior to the game. Scott Hatteberg, one of their catchers, had been bothered by an elbow problem, his throwing arm. He was disabled, and they called up Mandy Romero to take his place.
Our British Airways batting leaders, career at Fenway Park, active players, minimum 100 at-bats. Fred McGriff, Jose Hoffman, Wade Boggs, and Reggie Jefferson. What do all those hitters have in common? They can all hit from both. Only Hoffman's a switch hitter, but they all hit left-handed, the other guys. And I think while they talk about right-handed hitters here at Fenway Park, I think this is a great park for lefties.
No question. Mentioned a while ago all the batting champions they've had. Actually, Reggie Jefferson was a switch hitter when he came up with the Cincinnati Reds and later with the Mariners. Found out that the left side was his best side. I think you talked about it earlier. When you play in Fenway Park, you see mostly right-hand pitching.
And also, that that left field wall is closed for the left-handed hitters too. And this pitch is fouled to the seats. And I think what you can do, you can take the outside pitch the other way.
Carl Yastrzemski, Kenny, when he first came up, what all of a sudden turned him into a Hall of Famer was the inside pitch here at Fenway Park. He used to use that green wall very effectively. Anything outside.
Grounded to the right side. Nice hop for Tino Martinez. He's going to take it himself. Jefferson is gone, leading off the fourth for the Red Sox.
But exactly what you were saying, even a great hitter like Yaz, when he first came up, you could pitch him inside because he tried to take everything the other way. Then all of a sudden he learned to pull the inside pitch. He had that great MVP year in 1967 when he hit 44 home runs. Now all of a sudden he could turn on the inside pitch and take the outside pitch off the monster, and he became a complete hitter.
I think what it does for a left-handed hitter makes you wait on the ball because even if you swing late, you can drive it off the wall in left field. Here is Garciaparra, who flied out to Paul O'Neill in right field in the second. Bouncing ball towards the hole. Jeter a few steps to his right. The strong throw is in time. Derek Jeter. I talked to Jeter before the game about the infield here at Fenway Park, and he says this is the worst infield in the league. He says it's very inconsistent. The hops are not true.
A little clumpy, but you see Derek stayed with that one. Perfect position, plants that back foot, and uses the strong arm to get Garciaparra by plenty.
And I was thinking about the old Boston Gardens, as Troy O'Leary will step in. And he used to say the parquet floor over there had dead spots in it. You had to know where they are. And the Celtics knew where all the dead spots
and the live ones.
It might apply the same thing here at Fenway Park.
Well, plus with their new ballpark, and it's been here for so long, they're not going to put probably a lot into redoing this infield with this great pitchers duel. We haven't talked about it a lot, but we will in this series with the plans for the new Fenway right across the street here.
O'Leary with a bouncing ball. Knobloch to his left closes up the hole. And David Cone, 3 ground ball outs here in the 4th inning. And David Cone with his his second 1-2-3 inning of the ball game. Yankees lead 1-0. Sunday, and it was Joe Girardi, his usual battery mate, who will get the Corona Extra Effort Award. Look at this play against the White Sox and Maglio Ordonez to flip the Brocious for the out, and it was an all-important play because the Yankees won 2-1.
As Jeter takes strike one, and you would expect that plays like that in this game, somewhere along the line, those little inside-the-game type plays will determine who might win this one with it just 1-0. That's outside, and again, Jeter now with 2 for 2, fastball inside corner, fastball away. Let's see if Martinez changing his pitching pattern against him.
Jeter's become, as we have said, more proficient at hitting that inside pitch and hitting it for power. Pedro shook off 2. Jeter got tired of waiting. It was Matt Lawton earlier this year or last year. I think it was last year. Pedro shook off a couple of pitches. When Pedro was ready, Matt Lawton called time and stepped out, and Pedro just nodded his head. The next pitch drilled Matt Lawton, and they were on.
Inside, and it's 3-1 to Jeter. He has not really been in sync with Varitek. We've seen him shake off several times. O'Neill waiting on deck. Paul had a solid base hit.
Should be a pretty good pitch to hit here.
Off-speed pitch. That's what the great pitchers have the ability to do. Cone and Martinez get their off-speed pitches behind in hitting counts. There's Derek Jeter, 3-1. Hoping you get a nice fastball. He gets that great changeup.
The reason why I said it should have been the fastball, because he's leading off the inning. And I would think that Pedro would go with the fastball, but he's a great pitcher.
There's the fastball, and Jeter stays alive.
See, Jeter might have had a better swing at it 3-1 when he was anticipating fastball, but after getting a changeup 3-1, now you're caught in between. What's he going to do? Is he going to double up on the change? That's why he was late on the fastball.
And I don't think he's seen a breaking ball yet. Derek hasn't. And there's the leadoff walk. Martinez tried to run it up and in on him. Joe Torre, if you joined us late, back in the Yankee dugout. Let's check out that Aflac trivia quiz. Who is the only pitcher to strike out 10 Yankees in a game this season? Sure, most of you got it. If you were watching last week, it was Chuck Finley in that 1-0 win over David Cone. Finley is in a good matchup tonight with Mike Messina down at Camden Yards. So the Yankees have their leadoff man on. Martinez has yet to have a 1-2-3 inning. And here's O'Neill. Hit well straightaway center. On the run is Darren Lewis. He's at the wall. He is going to make a great catch against the wall, and Jeter will have to retreat. One of the best fielding center fielders in the game, and he played that perfectly.
He might have come away with a headache, too, but he saved Pedro Martinez a headache. Tracking. You see the padding on the wall, but his head goes above the padding with the leap at the very end. And a nice round of applause, as you might expect, for Darren Lewis. And maybe an aspirin after the inning is over. Paul O'Neill robbed of extra bases.
Jeter's going to get to the bag and then wait. Well, Pedro rubbed that head for him at the end of an inning. Of course, Darren Lewis, for years since he came up with the Giants, known as one of the better fielding center fielders. If you put another, just an average center fielder out there and watch the way they play that ball, you'll appreciate what a great catch that was. Here's Bernie Williams as the Yankees continue to swing the bats well against Martinez, having good swings. They have 7 hits and a couple of other well-hit balls like the one O'Neill just drove.
They've had at least 1 hit in every inning against Martinez.
Outside, ball 1. The fact that David Cone had a 9-pitch inning in the 4th was huge, because both these pitchers had to work rather hard in the first 3 innings. So for David Cone to carry the game into the 8th, he needed a couple breather innings, and he got one there in the 4th. Martinez still looking for his first one. Off-speed pitch, low again, 2-0. There's the pitcher's duel down at Camden Yards. Messina and Finland. The Orioles lead it by a run. Sky Dome, they're tied at 3. And Cleveland, who thumped the White Sox last night 13-9 lead. They're surprising Oakland A's. They're tied for first. They lead Kansas City by a run. 3-0.
News out of Baltimore this morning that there was great expectations that Ray Miller was going to be let go yesterday on the off day. Well, not only is he back, he seems to have gotten more power because he's going to make some changes on his pitching staff in Baltimore. And the general manager, Frank Wren, was not involved.
Maybe he'd be the guy to go. That's in for a strike. 3-1. Obviously, disappointment in Baltimore with the Orioles 8.5 games back of the Yankees. Red Sox just a half game back coming into this series. Here's where Martinez has been able to get that changeup over in hitters' counts. On the run is Jeter. Pitch outside, ball 4. So 2 walks from a guy who had only walked 11 men in his first 8 starts, has walked 2 in this inning. And Kenny, I think a lot of that, as Joe Kerrigan hustles out to the mound, is the good swings that the Yankees are having at him. He's saying, I just can't challenge these guys like I have other teams.
Well, maybe another thing involved here is the Yankees being able to get themselves into good counts. They don't swing at as many pitches as some of the other teams in the league. And pitching coach Joe Kerrigan out there talking to Pedro. I talked to Joe before the game. He's had Pedro on his staff in Montreal and now here in Boston. And Joe said it's been scary how good Pedro Martinez has been. But maybe not quite as sharp tonight.
Yeah, the fact that he's improved his breaking ball and added the cutter.
The first baseman.
And he's struck out 10 or more in 6 straight starts. And in 2 previous starts to that, he struck out 9 men in each one of those games.
But here's a guy who's had 2 good at-bats against him. That fly ball to right was hit well. That's outside for a ball. Martinez walked 3 men against the Tigers and 3 men against the Oakland Athletics in previous starts, but only 11 total. There's your runners. Jeter and Williams both drew base on balls. That's in for a strike to even the count.
Well, a 2 Martinez lunch here. A line drive to right field by Tino. And that will plate Derek Jeter with the game's lone run back in the 3rd inning.
Did that get him in the foot? No, it bounced away from Veritek. And both runners will be able to advance on the wild pitch.
One thing you get when you have pitchers with great stuff, you get pitchers in the dirt. When they're in the dirt, they're tough to handle for the catchers because look at the break on this curve. I mean, very sharp, very quick, and not enough time to get over it and actually block it. So Veritek tries to backhand it. It breaks off his shoulder, goes in the other direction, and the Yankees have runners at 2nd and 3rd with 1 out.
Down in the right field corner near the pesky pole and hooking just foul. Significant, I guess, the first opportunity to mention the pesky pole, because when the new Fenway is built in several years across the street, the only obstruction in the whole ballpark for fans, they will keep the pesky foul pole over there.
That's the only foul pole in baseball where the outfielder, the right fielder, plays deeper than the pole.
2-2, and Martinez, Pedro that is looking for a strikeout. Tino still looking for his first long ball here at Fenway. Off-speed pitch, and he was out in front, but stays alive. And Al Trotway pointed up the other night, where would the Yankees be without Derek Jeter and Chili Davis, who really carried the club in April? But when you see Tino Martinez start to foul off good pitches like that, that was a pitcher's pitch. He fouled it off, stayed alive. And then sometimes you get a better one. You can tell he's swinging the bat much better now. Inside, and this is a rare instance, Kenny, where we talk about pitchers expanding the strike zone by getting ahead of hitters. But the Yankee hitters tonight, because of their swings, have caused Martinez to go outside of the strike zone, something he rarely does. He's walked 2 in this inning, and the count is full to Tino. Ripped. Foul.
Tino had a good swing at a fastball, spoiled a tough changeup, and now pulls a breaking ball foul. So if you're Pedro Martinez, what do? You got a base open and 1 out. Here's the breaking ball on 3-2, and he's right on it. Pulls it foul. He's had a good swing at 2 of his best pitches and spoiled a great changeup. So that's why you have this conference on the mound.
And Veritek again wants to make sure. First base open, 1 out. The Red Sox are leaving the infield back. Jimmy Williams is, with Martinez in the batter's box.
They changed location on the fastball, up and away, and Tino spoiled that one.
Joe Torre picked a good night to get back in uniform. He's seeing a good one. Martinez, Pedro that is, usually a quick worker, and Tino Martinez steps out to slow him down a bit. Another walk, 3 in the inning, and another good at bat by Tino Martinez, and the Yankees have him loaded for Chili Davis.
See the 2 fingers? That means that Jimmy Williams wants the infield to play back for the double play.
Chili Davis.
So Pedro Martinez, his biggest out in the ball game right here in the 5th. His pitch count for him already very, very high, which is going to force Jimmy Williams to use his bullpen in this game earlier than he hoped for. Chili Davis looking fastball, got the changeup, strike 1. Jeter's at third. He drew a walk. So did Bernie Williams, as did Tino Martinez. And Jose Cardinal saying, be alive for the line drive. Don't get doubled off on a line drive. And Chili with respectable numbers with the bases loaded. Looks like a breaking ball, and it's 0-2. That gets the Fenway crowd encouraged.
Watch this one drop straight down. Multiple weapons for both of these pitchers tonight. They can't get you out one way, they'll try another.
Backs him off the plate with a fastball, and it's 1-2. The pattern would lead you to believe, as Posada waits on deck, 2 off-speed pitches and you back him off the plate, come with another off-speed pitch. But at this stage of Chili Davis's career, he handles off-speed pitches better than he does the 90-mile-an-hour fastball.
On Sunday, it was a high changeup that he hit for a home run.
2-2 on another off-speed pitch, and fans trying to give Ed Hickox a little help on that one.
I think about 32,000 umpires here tonight. See the off-speed pitch, change up, just sailed down and away, well away from the strike zone.
Short center, Lewis on the run. Garcia Parra can't get it. It's going to fall in between them, and all hands are safe as Jeter scores the second run of the ball game. Off the end of the bat, Lewis appeared to get just a bit of a slow jump, and Garcia Parra made an excellent effort, couldn't come up with it.
Well, somehow that ball fell in between the two. And watch the swing of Chili Davis. Hand comes off the bat. Certainly not deep enough for a sac fly. But Lewis kind of gives way. He's going to let Garcia Parra make the play. It's a tough play for a shortstop. George Steinbrenner, Yankee owner, looking on. And the reaction from George is the Yankees take a 2-0 lead. And Jeter has scored both Yankee runs tonight.
And Posada steps in. That's in for a strike. Posada didn't agree with that call. I would say that's the most generous strike call that Ed Hickox has shown us all night. Now, Darren Lewis, from our shot, it appeared, and he kept going. He may have had an opportunity.
I don't know if Garciaparra said, I got it. I don't believe he would yell that on a play like that. Because of the difficulty making the catch going over your shoulder. And you know what? Derek Jeter could have tagged and scored. It would have been a tough play to throw him out with the shortstop running in the other direction.
Posada, a 3-pitch strikeout. I think that whole at bat, the first strike called on Posada, I think upset him for the entire at bat, and he is a quick strikeout victim. 2 down here in the 5th.
First pitch was a fastball, then 2 curveballs in on his hands, and he goes down on strike. So Pedro Martinez rallies to pick up a strikeout for the second out of this inning.
And now big at bat for Chad Curtis. We mentioned he's hit Martinez fairly well, but it's been 24 at bats since a hit with men on base. That's low for a ball. Martinez has now reached, with 2 out here in the 5th inning, the 100 pitch mark already. So his night is not far from over. That's in for a strike. Jim Corsi, the veteran right-hander, already beginning to loosen in the Boston bullpen. Linda Ronstadt. Linda Ronstadt right there, a blue bayou. Wow, that had a little extra.
Chad Curtis checking with Ed Hickox. Was this pitch high? Hickox could have said, I heard it, but I didn't see it.
And Martinez 1 pitch away from getting out of this with just 1 run. And Curtis stays alive. When you look at the inning, a walk to Jeter, and then Darren Lewis made a remarkable play on the long drive to center field by O'Neill. Then 2 more walks, and the bloop by Davis. Martinez has really had to labor in this inning, and yet with a good pitch here can get out with just 1 run. Not much sync. You can see Veritek getting up, going through the signs. He and Martinez have not been on the same page on a consistent basis tonight. Well outside. Yeah, that's the crowd reaction, and that's what umpires around baseball have said. If the catcher sits outside, and I don't know why you would sit outside. I mean, you're just wasting a pitch. But Veritek sits way outside the strike zone and then catches it there. To the crowd, it appears to be a strike, even though it's a foot off the plate. Got him. And a disgusted Curtis throws the bat and helmet away, and Pedro Martinez with back-to-back strikeouts with the bases loaded here in the 5th. With a little damage control and help from his center fielder. We head to the bottom of the 5th. Yankees on top, 2-0. Back at Fenway, and you could see the Yankees with a 2-0 lead, but they have 8 hits. The Red Sox was just a pair, so it's been a much cleaner game for David Cone, and he'll probably face these Red Sox again next week when they come to the stadium. Tickets are still available for baseball's greatest rivalry when the Red Sox come to the Bronx on those 3 dates. Night games Monday and Tuesday, then a Wednesday afternoon 1 o'clock affair. Yankee ticket office or Ticketmaster or on the web. You can get tickets for the Yankee Red Sox series. In that Wednesday game right now, the projection is that Roger Clemens would pitch that game. Here's Mike Stanley. That's in for a strike, and right now David Cone could really dictate the pace and the rhythm of this game. He's done a good job of it already. If he has a quick, clean inning, he gets Pedro Martinez right back out there after the long 5th. Be a big advantage for the Yankee lineup. Cone just 9 pitches in the 4th inning. As you see the bio on the ex-Yankee.
Those home runs came with the Red Sox and Toronto last year, the career high 29.
Now 2 balls and a strike. In the air to left, Curtis near the wall, looking up. Bernie Williams is going to watch it go into the net. Mike Stanley gets the Red Sox on the board with his first hit ever against David Cone. And it's 2-1 Yankees.
Well, Mike Stanley now has something in common with Sean Green of the Toronto Blue Jays. They are the only two to hit home runs off of David Cone this year. And this is a green monster home run. This would not have been a home run at Yankee Stadium. And you can see it just drop on top of the wall out and left. And the Red Sox are on the board.
And here's Varitek. Off-speed curveball in for a strike.
So Stanley got the measure of a curveball. One too many hooks to him. I think every pitch he saw so far tonight had been a curve.
Good low ball hitter, and that's what that was, a low breaking ball. And quickly 0-2 to Varitek. You mentioned both Varitek and Garcia-Parra, products of Georgia Tech. Varitek a #1 draft pick in '93, and Nomar the year afterwards. Just missed 1-2. If you joined us late in the middle of this game, of course, the excitement prior to the game, Joe Torre back in uniform. He's in the Yankee dugout, managing the Yankees for the first game this year. Center field, playable. And Bernie Williams puts it away, 1 down. And the other news on the Yankee front, we'll update you on. Roger Clemens will pitch Friday night in Chicago. And Bill Daughtry just informed us that Jeff Nelson, who was going to pitch a simulated game tomorrow, actually threw 35 pitches in game-type conditions down in the Yankee bullpen. So he will not go on his rehab assignment. And I would expect in the next day or two you're going to see a couple of changes made on the Yankee roster. Here's Darren Lewis. On the corner, strike 1. There's the Rocket at a big-time throwing session back in the stadium, and another one tonight. Jeff Nelson has completed his. Left field, base hit. So the Red Sox answer here in the bottom of the 5th. Stanley's home run, and Lewis, a threat to steal second base, gets a 1-out single.
You saw the look on David Cone's face after getting the ball back from the field. And that's because he hung a curveball. Watch how high this pitch stays up in the zone. Now, it has to break, but it's not going to have the bite. It stays up, and Lewis, good high ball hitter, just drag this on into left field for the base hit. And he is a threat to steal.
And David Cone knows that. Even though the Red Sox lineup does not match up depth-wise or power-wise with the Yankees, the hitters sit on the bench and they pay attention. And David Cone has thrown primarily breaking balls. Low for a ball. And you sit there and watch him work a hitter over and you say, hey, 8 out of every 10 pitches is a breaking ball. I think I'll go up there and look for one.
Whether it be the split or the curveball.
Of course, if you're Cone or Martinez and you execute those pitches, they can still be tough to hit. Lewis back in time.
Lewis has 5 steals this year, 29 last year. That was the most since Otis Nixon stole 42 for the Red Sox 5 years ago. He's going.
Well, what a pitcher will look at, the cutout here at Fenway Park is a little bit bigger than most ballparks. But if Lewis gets right over into here, right near that cutout area, Nixon did not check, and it's in for strike 1 and 1. So far, Darren Lewis has come within about a yard of it. And if he gets just a little more, that will give you an indication that a base runner's ready to go.
And watch him get up on his toes, too. That's an indication also that he's might ready to spring in one direction or the other.
He's got the perfect lead because he gets out. You can see the way he's balanced. He can get back to the bag in time, and if he reads Cone's move, he's ready to spring off that left leg. Not going, and it's grounded outside of first, just foul. 1 and 2.
The first baseman holds a runner on. His first move is towards the infield to his right. So when a ball is hit back to his left, they really have to scramble to change direction and make the play. The ball pulled foul. You see by Tino Martinez, but Larry Barnett with the emphatic call at first base. It was foul. "31 years umpiring in the American League."
Center field. Bernie Williams on the run. At the track, appears to have room, and he puts it away. Lewis retreats. But the Red Sox this inning, as the Yankees have done the early innings against Martinez, are having some very good swings against David Cone.
Here's the pitch, and let's see where it is. Kind of hangs up there, about thigh high.
Another breaking ball.
And you know, I thought Dixon had hit the ball a little bit better than this. He gets it almost to the warning track, and Bernie Williams hauls it in. Two excellent center fielders in this series with Lewis and Williams.
Now Lewis would really be a threat to go with 2 down, and Offerman at the plate. Offerman, though he leads the league in triples and doubles, is not a home run threat. Red Sox like to get Lewis into scoring position. In the dirt, nice block by Posada. Jorge has done that twice tonight. Despite the low batting average and the struggles at the plate, you can help your team with plays like this.
Yeah, catcher wants to keep the ball in front of him, and Posada does an excellent job of just about keeping the ball in between those two lines.
Again, blocks another one. And Lewis has made no indication to try to steal second base.
Maybe a message was sent way back in the first inning with Offerman when he tried to steal and Posada threw him out. Sometimes the manager will be a little bit more leery of putting on the steal sign, although you would think a veteran like Lewis is on his own.
Especially with David Cone throwing a high percentage of breaking balls, that's a much easier pitch to steal against. Taking longer to get to home plate, obviously. Three 3-0. Jeff Fry would be next. Quick check of the scores. Tied Shea in the 5th. As well as a pro player in the 8th between the Cubs and Marlins. That's in for a strike, 3-1. Montreal slowing down those red-hot Phillies, who are in second place in the National League East. Early action down at Turner Field, no score.
Kenny, we had talked about maybe changes on the Baltimore Oriole pitching staff. We hear that former Yankee Scott Kamenicki has been sent down to AAA Rochester today by Baltimore.
There goes Lewis, and the pitch is low. And Offerman draws a walk. So as the Yankees, with 3 walks in the top of the 5th, made things tough on Martinez and scored a run. Now they give Joe Torre cause for concern here in the bottom of the 5th after Cone issues a 2-out walk to Offerman.
Jeff Fry, not much power. You see the outfield. Of course, the left fielder is always shallow here at Fenway Park. Bernie Williams, a few steps towards right, and Paul O'Neill very, very shallow in right field.
Strike 1. Now this is a hitter David Cone has to dig his heels in and say, I've got to trust my stuff and go after Jeff Fry. He has not played a lot. You see what he's done lately, and if he loses him, now you're looking at Reggie Jefferson from the left side of the plate. Outside. Corner again, 1-2. And Cone has Fry in a hole, and one pitch from getting out of the 5th inning with 1 run as Jefferson waits on deck. Lewis at second got a base hit, and Offerman drew a 2-out walk. Neither pitcher and catcher combo appear to be really in sync tonight. Anytime a pitcher takes that long a look, you know he's waiting for a catcher to go through another series of signs, get the one he likes. Nice block by Posada.
That's 3 this inning.
Almost reminds me of that playoff game back in '95 against the Seattle Mariners when David Cone was trying to make that perfect pitch to Doug Strange to get out of a jam there when the Mariners came back with that miraculous comeback. That was with the bases loaded, and here he's trying to make that same pitch to Jeff Fry. Little hesitation. Oh, way over the head of Posada. Try to create a little something to Jeff Fry. You saw the extra hesitation as Mel Stottlemyre scratching his head.
I think Red Sox fans would recognize that move. They saw Louis Tiant do it about 20 years ago. Well, here's the hesitation. And he drops down and just throws it over the head of Jorge Posada, who barely gets a mid on it. So the runners move up on the wild pitch.
Oh, boy. Ball 4. Wow. David Cone with Jeff Fry in a hole went to 3 straight breaking balls, including a splitter in the dirt. And now he's got to face Reggie Jefferson.
Now, Mel Stottlemyre out to the mound. I think this is, I've mentioned it before, it's like the 20-second timeout in basketball, like the timeout in football, trying to give the pitcher a little bit of a rest here so he can gather himself, get his thoughts together, catch a breath, then go hard after the final out of the inning.
And I think we've seen that pattern with David Cone, I believe at age 36, and he still has a decent fastball, but I don't think he has the confidence to use that fastball for his put-away pitch. So that's even a hitter like Jeff Fry, who has not been very successful. He went at him with 3 straight breaking balls. Now here's the much tougher Reggie Jefferson. Ball 1. Lewis with a 1-out single. Offerman drew a walk. So did Fry. And just as the Yankees had him loaded in the top of the 5th, the Red Sox have him loaded here. 1-1. Another splitter.
This was a good pitch and a fastball count. 1-0. Jefferson thinks fastball, but it's not.
Yes, or did he? No. Dan Morrison on the call as Jefferson started to go around and checked in time.
Another look at it. It's like a slider inside. Jefferson starts the bat, but does hold up.
Ground foul, 2-2. After the very effective, efficient 4th inning, David Cone has put himself in a tough position. You see how well Reggie Jefferson has done against him, which was why it was so important for him to get Jeff Fry out.
Yeah, not many players have homered twice in a game against David Cone. Only 3 others to be exact.
A chant for a different Reggie here in Fenway Park. We hear in the background. Hit well, right field. O'Neill coming on. He'll have to play it on a hop. 1 run is in. Here comes Offerman. The throw is there. He's out. Great throw by O'Neill and a nice play by Posada, and that will keep it a tie game. But the Red Sox come up with a pair on Stanley's home run, Jefferson's single, and only this throw keeps the Red Sox from taking the lead. Nice job of blocking the plate. Back at Fenway, we're tied at 2. A nice look at the crescent moon over Fenway, and we've had nice weather for this game tonight. We're tied at 2, top of the 6th. Hoping prior to the game we would get this in. Forecast not good for the next couple days. Forecast good for Joe Torre. Smile on his face. He's relaxed and back in the dugout and appreciated this throw.
It's a nice high hop to Paul O'Neill, and then the strong throw to the plate well ahead of Jose Hoffman, who will slide in, try and avoid the tag. Posada makes contact and holds on to the ball, and O'Neill, look where Posada is positioned. There's no plate there for Hoffman to go for.
Boy, he's made great strides in the last week in that area. Posada has. You could tell O'Neill on that throwing motion as Brocious takes strike 1. He was a pitcher during his amateur days in Ohio. And when you see him wind up and throw from the outfield, he has a very fluid motion, almost as if he is pitching.
Good tennis player, too. So that was like that overhand serve.
Hitting it back at his buddy Jim Courier. Well, now we're tied at 2, and the pitcher's duel is materialized, a low-scoring game, but that pitch outside the scorecard is not as clean as you might expect with Cone and Martinez. They have had to go through the batting order 3 times in the first half of the ball game. That's in first strike, 2 and 2. So I would think right now that neither of these pitchers is going to be around more than an inning or 2 at the most because of the high pitch counts. Good swing there by Brocious. Fouled straight back, still 2 and 2. David Cone with 30 pitches alone in the last inning. Well, we're going to have to get a new camera. That's the lens of our camera that was shattered by that foul ball.
Those things are expensive.
Yeah, I hope Scott's got insurance. Well, George is here. He'll take care of it.
From what I understand, those things are about $250,000 a piece.
That's more than the minimum salary for these big leaguers. Up the middle, Brocious with a good at-bat off Martinez, and the Yankees come right back to try to answer that 2 spot by the Red Sox. 9th hit of the game off Martinez.
Number 11, the second baseman, Chuck Knobloch.
Well, the way Knobloch has been hitting, would you think that he might drop down a bunt here?
Or the other thing, now Chuck has struck out 3 times in his last 6 at-bats, and here's a guy who is the toughest in the American League to strike out, only 8 all year, where Joe Torre might start the runner, put and hit and run on sometime in this sequence, just to see if Knobloch can make good contact. Brocious with almost a softball lead. I mean, Scott is not more than a stride and a half off first base. He's going to take no chances of getting picked off. He does drop down a bunt, and it's a good one. Fry was right there, plays it well. Knobloch retired, but I would expect he'd get credit with a sacrifice and advances Brocious to second base.
Trying to help the club out and maybe get a base hit for a bonus here, but Fry was in on the grass and throws on the first for the out. So Knobloch, I'd like to see him bunt more often, not in a bunting situation, as we see Brocious go down to second easily.
This is a good park to bunt into, because you note on that bunt there's a lot more dirt in fair territory, third baseline, a lot of ballparks that grass comes almost up to the foul line, so there's a lot more area there to keep it fair. Here's Jeter, who's had a good night, 2 hits and a walk. That's on the inside corner for a strike. Mark Guthrie, veteran lefty, loosening in the Red Sox bullpen. Nice block by Veritek. That's low, and it's 1-1.
Jeter has been on base 3 times tonight, has scored both Yankee runs.
Toward third on a high hop, fair. Fry, strong throw, off the bag. Stanley is pulled off the bag, and Jeter is safe. Not Jeff Fry's normal position. Never got his feet settled underneath him and made a high throw, and the Yankees get a break on this one.
I think part of the reason a bad throw, because everybody on the left side of the infield in the American League knows that Derek Jeter's going to run hard down the line. You got to get it across. This will put extra pressure on the third baseman Fry on the slow hopper. Brocious feeling, oh, maybe I should have headed for third. I might have made it.
And decision time here for Jimmy Williams. He's had Mark Guthrie loosening up, and you figure, well, if he's got him loosening up now, it would be for Paul O'Neill, but he's going to stay with Martinez. Left field, playable. O'Leary on the grass, and he puts it away for the second out.
By the way, that was an error on the third baseman, even though Jeter hustled down the line.
So Martinez using his good changeup to get O'Neill out. Now he'll be faced with Bernie Williams. Cone and Martinez, Kenny, tonight kind of like a couple of old heavyweight fighters. I mean, they're getting knocked around. They're taking a lot of punches, but in situations like this, granted, Cone was helped out by the strong throw by O'Neill, but they seem to be able to come up with that big pitch.
Or avoid the haymaker.
Yeah, to keep it a 2-2 ball game. Breaking ball inside, ball 1. Hawks by a pair over the Knicks at halftime down in Atlanta. Important as Martinez checks Brocious. One of the things you really have to do in Fenway Park, and Scott Brocious not have blazing speed, you have to get a good lead off second base. Because if a base hit goes to left field, that left fielder doesn't have far to throw it. This is one park where third base coaches will continue to urge you, get off a little farther. You see right now Scott has just a very modest lead, but he's going to have to get several strides off to score on a base hit to left. Inside. 2-0.
As much right field as I've played in the American League, when we came to Boston, I moved to left field. There's a lot of room to cover in right, and they wanted to make use of my pretty good arm in left field. And I liked it out there. I thought it was nice.
Fans are close, get to talk to the fan, turn around, check the scores.
Play highlight every once in a while.
Off-speed pitch. Another good one by Martinez behind in the count. What I always like to do is look at the fingerprints of those hitters on that green monster.
Good breaking ball from Pedro, dropped straight down out of the strike zone, and Bernie was over the top.
You turn around and check all those dents out there, and you say, man, that's Ted Williams, Joe D, Jimmy Fox. Now Bernie will step out, as he always does, to slow down the quick-working Martinez. Ooh, way outside, 3-1.
Veritek went after that with the backhand and almost got by him.
Going to be another tough decision for Jimmy Williams. Tino Martinez has had 3 good at-bats against Pedro Martinez. If he loses Bernie Williams, it would be the left-handed Tino Martinez with Guthrie ready in the bullpen. Do you take out your ace in that situation? We'll find out. Good swing by Bernie, fouled straight back, and the count's full. That will, well, give Brocious and Jeter a head start.
There's Dave Joust, one of the Red Sox coaches. Did a great job this year at winter ball. Here's Guthrie. Guthrie has walked 8 in 16 innings. So would you bring him in with the bases loaded?
Fenway fans looking for one more big strikeout from Pedro Martinez. And they got it. Breaking ball down and in. Bernie Williams down on strikes. And Pedro Martinez again answers the challenge. He's given up 9 hits, but the Yankees have but 2 runs. We head to the bottom of the 6th, and we're still tied at 2. Welcome back to Fenway. New York Yankee baseball is brought to you in part by Jeep, the most award-winning brand of 4x4s on earth. Cozy Fenway Park. And it will be site of this year's All-Star game, and the buzz and the coverage in the papers here recently, of course, the plans for the new Fenway, which will be identical to this. A little better fan amenities, but playing field wise will be the same. And the early renderings that we've seen look that it's going to be a very, very cozy, homey ballpark. Here's Nomar Garciaparra. And first pitch hit deep to left center. Bernie Williams looking up and off the wall. He'll play it on a high hop. Garciaparra will have to stop at second. And fortunately for the Yankees, it was hit out toward that 379 mark and stayed in the ballpark.
First of all, let's check the pitch. It's a hanging breaking ball, middle of the plate. Garciaparra gets good wood. To the right of that yellow line would have been a home run. Instead, Bernie Williams will hold Garciaparra to a double.
Now Troy O'Leary, who leads the Red Sox in home runs with 8, will step in. Another breaking ball, low for a ball. That double off the wall is going to get him stirring in the Yankee bullpen as Garciaparra represents the lead run. Outside 2-0. Stanton and Mendoza. Ramiro Mendoza back in the bullpen now. Roger Clemens will start on Friday night. Towards second, cut off by Tino Martinez, who will flip to Cone in time, and just what the Red Sox wanted from Troy O'Leary. A productive out to put Garciaparra at third with just 1 out. And here's Mike Stanley, who in his last at bat got the first home run ever in his 8th at bat against David Cone. Now the Yankees will bring that infield in. Joe Torre does not want to give up the lead run. And the pressure will be on Posada right here, because you would expect Cone, as his pattern has been, to go at Stanley with some breaking pitches down in the dirt. That's in for a strike.
Stanley hit a breaking ball last inning for a home run. And if David Cone throws breaking balls like he did to Garciaparra leading off this inning, that one hung.
There's the ball in the dirt, gets away from Posada, and Garciaparra will score. Very little chance for Jorge to block that one.
David Cone annually is among the league leaders in wild pitches because of the fact he has such good stuff, and when he bounces one in the dirt, it puts all kinds of pressure on the catcher to make the stop. But for David Cone, that was his first wild pitch of this season.
And in a bad spot as far as Yankees are concerned. Another look at it.
No chance for Jorge, off the heel of the glove and over towards the Red Sox dugout, and will pick up the go-ahead run on the wild pitch.
Next one in for a strike, and it's 1-2, and now Stanley takes that up the middle. I mean, it looked like he almost stepped outside and took. He had to be guessing breaking ball with 1 and 2. It looked like Stanley almost reached out across the plate and took it into center field.
Another look at Stanley's base hit. The target was in. You see Posada had to reach way across the plate. And that was out over the plate, and Stanley drilled it into center field.
So after going 0 for 7 against Cone, now his last 2 at-bats, he has hits, and here's Varitek with just 1 out. Another breaking ball. And now at this stage of the game, David Cone, who was sharp early, when you throw that many breaking balls, the pitch count is not as important as the number of when you start throwing that many, you lose the snap and the bite. You just pointed out you've seen a lot of them hang in the last 2 innings. There's a good splitter, and it's 1-1 to Varitek.
And those are the things when you're hitting, you got to watch for on the bench. You see the breaking ball not as sharp, and when you go up there, you figure, well, if he's going to continue to throw it, I'm going to look for one, and that's the pitch you want to hit.
Mel Stottlemyre with a quick check of the pitching chart there, check the matchups as Varitek takes outside for a ball, and you can see Joe Torre massaging his temples for a while. He's probably thinking it would have been nice to come back on a nice 7-0 game. So he's had a lot to think about here in his first game back. Another breaking ball. It's in the dirt. It's 3-1. Lewis waits on deck. He got the big hit in the last inning after the Stanley home run. What prevented David Cone from having a quick 5th inning was Lewis's single, and then a pair of walks that followed. Another breaking pitch, and the count is full. So the one chance to get out of this inning right now for Cone would be a strikeout throwout situation. Stanley not going. Toward third. Now they might be able to get 2. Knobloch with a nice pivot, and they do. Nice pivot by Knobloch, and the double play gets David Cone out of the 6th inning, but not before the Red Sox come up with a run. We head to the top of the 7th inning. Boston now on top, 3-2. At Fenway, if the Yankees took a 2-0 lead, Red Sox have now come back to take 1-run lead, and Kenny with Pedro Martinez is high for the year, 137 pitches. He's approaching that. Jimmy Williams looks like he might want to try to get 1 more inning out of him.
Well, he's going to face Tito Martinez, Chili Davis, and Jorge Posada with the Yankees down by a run here in the 7th inning. David Cone somewhat disappointed, particularly in that wild pitch that allowed the go-ahead run to score. Tito Martinez had a good night. He's 1 for 2 and swings, and this is towards the gap in left center field. He's going to go all the way to the wall. Tito's going to have his 2nd double of the ball game and his 13th of the year as the Yankees try and come right back against Pedro Martinez. Pedro has yet to have a 1-2-3 inning tonight. But the problem for the Yankees, they've left 11 men on through the first 6 innings.
Boy, Tito Martinez is locked in tonight. That appeared to be a change-up breaking down and away. Tino was right on it, waited long enough, kept the hands back, and drove it.
The most hits Pedro Martinez has given up in a game prior to tonight was 7. He's given up 10 to the Yankees tonight. Chili Davis fouls the pitch back. So Martinez at second, representing the tying run. Chili Davis is 2 for 3 tonight. Look at David Cone as he's hoping his teammates can bail him out here in the top of the 7th. Chili would not chase, and the count goes to a ball and a strike.
Now Derek Lowe, the right-hander, gets up in the bullpen instead of Guthrie.
Martinez is high for pitches this year, 137. It was back on April the 25th, a 3-2 win against the Cleveland Indians. He went the distance in that game. Big swing and a miss by Chili Davis, and the count goes to 1-2.
You see right now Martinez not giving Davis anything off speed. O'Leary got a ground ball to the right side in the bottom of the 6th. That's what helped the Red Sox score a run. And Martinez does not want Chili Davis to do that. Nothing but fastballs up and away. Try to keep him from pulling it.
Pedro ahead on the count, a ball and 2 strikes. Another fastball. Chili Davis late and fouls it back. Up on the roof and out of the ballpark. Here's our New York Marriott Marquis pitching matchup for the night. 6 innings for Pedro Martinez. 10 hits, a couple of runs, 8 strikeouts, 3 walks. All 3 of those walks in the 5th inning. The numbers on David Cone, 7 hits in 6 innings. Swing and a miss on a changeup, and Chili Davis is struck out. Strikeout number 9 for Pedro Martinez. He's had at least 1 strikeout in every inning.
Not only in a changeup, but in a spot where there is no way, even if Chili Davis made contact with that, he was going to pull the ball to the right side. After all those fastballs, it set up that perfect changeup.
Changing the plane. Upstairs with the fastballs, downstairs with the changeups. Posada tonight is 0 for 3. Changeup swung on and missed, strike 1. And what a combination of pitches. Changeup, lively fastball. Not only the change, but it moves down and away from the left-handed hitters. Slider, pulled foul.
I think right now what you're seeing is what's inside of Pedro Martinez. You know, he's 5'11" at best, 170 pounds, throwing a lot of pitches. But now that his team has gotten him a 1-run lead, he knows this is his 9th inning. He's pitching this inning like he's a closer.
High fastball, foul to the seats down the left field line. There's our Toyota box score for the Yankees tonight. Tino Martinez, Chili Davis with a couple of hits apiece. Save for Brosius and Jeter. And 1 apiece for O'Neill and Williams. 10 hits total for the Yankees, but only 2 runs. 11 men left on through 6 innings. In the dirt and by Veritek all the way back to the screen. I should say around the home plate area. And it's going to move Tino Martinez to third. So a wild pitch possibly will set up a run for the Yankees. When Veritek looked back, I thought that's where the ball was.
Martinez made sure he got it down. Veritek got the body down, but it took a funny hop right in front of the plate. In fact, I think it hit home plate umpire Ed Hickox, or it would have gone to the screen. And now Jimmy Williams will have to, with that wild pitch, bring his infield in.
Posada takes call, strike 3. Strikeout number 10 for Pedro Martinez. And a big one. And now Tino Martinez will be left at third with 2 outs.
Seems like all of his strikeouts have been big. He struck out Posada and Curtis to end the 5th with the bases loaded, and Jorge knew that one. After all the changeups, he painted that good fastball right on the inside corner. That's kind of just an average night for Pedro. 10 strikeouts.
7 games in a row with at least 10. and 15 in his last 2 starts prior to tonight. Chad Curtis fouls one over near the Yankee dugout. Strike 1. Well, if this is his 9th inning, he's trying to close with a flourish. Longest streak of his career with 10 or more. Tito Martinez, 90 feet away from home plate, represents the tying run. Yankees are down 3-2. A ball and a strike to Chad Curtis.
I like what Martinez is doing here, Kenny, because after your pitch count reaches this level, the one thing you lose is the sharpness on that breaking ball, and he's gone primarily with his good fastball and changeup.
Joe Kerrigan with the eye on his right-hander. That is high and inside. Ball 2 to Curtis. 2-1. Derek Lowe, it looks like he is ready in the Red Sox bullpen. Crowd here at Fenway chanting Pedro. That is down low with a breaking ball. 3-1 on Curtis. With Scott Brosius on deck. Brosius has 2 hits tonight. Curtis looking for his first one. Martinez led off with a double, went to third on a wild pitch. Martinez had picked a couple of strikeouts up this inning. That is low for ball 4. And Yankees will have runners at first and third with 2 down. That is base on balls number 4, and I think Jimmy Williams has seen enough, and I think it has to do with Brosius having 2 hits tonight.
Yeah, it's a trip he didn't want to make. I mean, Curtis was the guy Martinez had a chance to put away. Made some close pitches, couldn't polish him off. Of course, managers like Jimmy Williams with an ace on the mound will not make the signal till they get out there. They give the guy a chance to talk about him. If he wanted to make sure, he immediately would have signaled bring him in, but he's trying to get some feedback from Pedro Martinez, and if you know Pedro, he's going to say, I want to stay in, and he does.
They might have been talking over strategy too as far as Brosius was concerned, but you notice after Jimmy Williams left, they talked some more. So does that mean, well, we want to do what we want to do?
The pitchers, they hate to see that manager come out, and as soon as they get across the line, the signal's gone out, and you say, man, I couldn't talk him out of it.
Now Pedro now trying to get out of a first and third jam with 2 down. Martinez to Brosius. Swing and a miss on a high fastball. Strike 1. Brosius struck out in the 2nd, singled in the 4th, and in the 6th.
Again, pretty much Powder River here in the 7th inning. Pedro Martinez not trying to trick these Yankee hitters. He's going at it with his best fastball.
Gets the call on that one, and it's a ball and a strike. Make that 2 strikes to Brosius. This was borderline.
A rare breaking ball, and the Red Sox did get a break. That was clearly off the corner.
Fans on their feet. He goes around and strikes out. Pedro Martinez picks up 3 strikeouts here at the top of the 7th. The Yankees strand 2 more runners and have now left 13 men on in this ballgame. Mike Stanton will come in out of the Yankee bullpen. 7th inning stretch here at Fenway Park. Sox lead 3-2. Mike Stanton has come out of the Yankee bullpen with the Yankees down by a run, 3-2. David Cohen's night is done.
Well, this is that last at bat, and the fastball up and in, and That's why Pedro Martinez, if you had to pick one pitcher today, and David Cone battled him as best he could, but he is the best pitcher in baseball. He went to his fastball, his number one pitch, made it work for him, and strikes out the side in an inning where his pitch count was up about 135. Don't see that happen these days in Major League Baseball.
He has been able to reach back when he's had to, and I mentioned the Yankees have left 13 men on through 7 innings. Here is Mike Stanton. Numbers on Stanton this year. 11 strikeouts in 13 innings. Former Boston Red Sox will face Lewis, Nixon, and Offerman in the bottom of the 7th inning. Well, Lewis tonight has scored one of the 3 Red Sox runs. 1 for 2 on the night, now facing Stanton for the first time. Fastball from Mike Stanton is poured in there for a called strike.
We're talking before the game, Kenny, about not many hitters with good speed try to drop down bunts these days. You would think this is a situation you might see it from Lewis.
Curveball bounced over the head of Brocious. It's going to be a tough play for Jeter. That's going to be an infield single. Well, respecting the ability of Lewis to lay down that bunt, Brocious was in on the grass and a high chopper.
Yeah, that was just as good as a bunt. The turf, the dirt very hard out in front of home plate, and with Scott Brocious playing in, no chance to get that. Jeter knew he had no play. Again, the Red Sox have that ideal situation. They have a left-hand hitter in the box, which makes it a little more difficult for Posada to throw, and speed at first base in Lewis.
And another situation where you might look for the bunt. Build another run. Stanton tosses over.
Boy, if that throw is on target, they've got him. Lewis was looking in toward home plate. He was frozen in his tracks. Watch Darren Lewis. He hardly moved. He's not even moving yet, and the throw is just offline, or they'd have had him.
Stanton to the plate, and Nixon takes it for a ball. He did show bunt.
You can see he's not bunted a lot. The technique doesn't look particularly good. Sometimes managers say, why ask a young player to do something he's not good at? And oftentimes after that, they just turn around and say, look, swing away and try to chop it on the ground and advance him that way.
Bunts in the air and foul. I thought you're supposed to learn those things in the minor leagues.
A lot of managers during batting practice, if you can't lay down 2 or 3 good bunts, they'll say, you don't get to hit, you have to keep bunting. But the technique, Nixon's, the barrel of the bat is way behind home plate. He has no chance to bunt that in fair territory.
1 ball, 1 strike on Nixon. Another throw over the first. Jason Grimsley beyond the right field wall, warming up in the Yankee bullpen. Yankee fans know the fine job he's done this year. Nixon lays down the bunt. Pretty good one. Posada looks to second, throws to first, scooped out of the dirt by Knobloch. And for Trot Nixon, you think about your first home run, your first hit, your first run batted in the major leagues. That's his first sacrifice bunt in the majors.
And very important to the Red Sox. Watch what Posada has to do here with Tino Martinez having to duck out of the way. It's a nice play by Knobloch. He was shielded by Tino Martinez from the throw, had to pick it out of the dirt.
So Lewis now at second with 1 out at the top of the order, and Jose Offerman, switch hitter, jumps over to the right-hand side to face the left-hander Mike Stanton. And lifts a fly ball, lazy fly ball to right field for Paul O'Neill. Lewis went halfway, now returns, and Offerman 1 pitch from Stanton and is retired. So with 2 down, Stanton, who was backing up third base, will face Jeff Fry. who drew a key walk in the 5th inning against David Cone.
Jeff Fry.
Yeah, that was the key at bat. David Cone had Jeff Fry 1 and 2, and threw him 3 breaking balls and ended up walking him.
Reggie Jefferson came up and got a base hit that tied the score. And Jose Offerman on the base hit was thrown out at the plate by Paul O'Neill to end the inning. Curveball is in for a call strike to Fry. Toyota box score for the Red Sox tonight. Darren Lewis with 2 hits, Mike Stanley with 2, including a home run. Red Sox with a total of 8 hits. Another curve, this one a little outside, a ball and a strike. Red Sox came in having won 9 of their last 11 games. They come within a half a game of the Yankees. Of course, the Yankees during that same period of time were not playing well, and the Sox were moving up just about every day in the standings to this point. Down low, 2-1.
This will be real important for the Yankees and Mike Stanton to get this out and keep it a 1-run ball game. I don't think Pedro Martinez is going to come out in the 8th. In the one area that has been a little vulnerable for the Red Sox is that bullpen late in the game, particularly with Derek Lowe, who's had a couple of bad outings.
Curveball, ball 3.
Same thing as, I mean, Yankees pitching Jeff Fry like he's Babe Ruth gone back here, and they're having a tough time getting the ball over to him.
Well, Tom Gordon is back now, closing again for the Red Sox. He was out with elbow problems. In fact, he missed some time in spring training with the same injury. Fry with a bouncing ball to the right side for Tito Martinez. He will outrace Fry to the bag, and that will retire the Red Sox here in the bottom of 7th. They get a leadoff single, but nothing else against Mike Stanton. We have played 7 innings at Fenway Park in Boston. As we head to the 8th, Red Sox lead it. 3-2, the Red Sox leading the Yankees by a run. And tomorrow, right here on MSG, the Yankees continue their battle with Nomar Garciaparra and the Sox. A 7:30 start at Fenway. Then on Thursday, the Knicks and the Hawks collide in Game 2 of their Round 2 playoff battle. 8 p.m. tip-off on MSG. There's plenty of action coming up this week on MSG Network. It's more than just a game. Tonight, of course, we're on Metro Guide, courtesy of the New York Yankees, as we head to the 8th inning.
And a big inning, Kenny, for Derek Lowe. Curveball laced into left field by Chuck Knobloch, who has had trouble getting on base, and just like that, one pitch, he represents the tying run. Big inning because Derek Lowe, used in this setup role, has had a couple of rocky outings, and his confidence a bit shattered. Jimmy Williams had to call him in, say, I believe in you, but you see by the numbers, better than a hit per inning. He does have the ability to strike hitters out, but he has got to work through the top of the Yankee order and try to get the game to Tom Gordon. Of course, if Jeter gets on, left-hander O'Neill coming up, Jimmy Williams would probably go to that bullpen again. Derek's had a good night. 2 singles, a walk, reached down an air. He's been on base every plate appearance. Late on that, strike 1.
That is Real Cormier.
Frenchie, former pitcher on the Canadian Olympic team. And
from New Brunswick in Canada.
He would be ready to come in and face O'Neill, and he's done very well against left-hand hitters this year, Cormier. Good pitch there. Quickly 0-2 to Jeter.
Knobloch getting that base hit. Now, he had been, what, 1 for his last 37. But tonight, it seemed like they started him off with a breaking ball every single time up, and he got one there and was looking for it and got the base hit.
Jeter reaches out and stays alive. One thing Chuck has done differently, we've pointed it out throughout the first part of the season, he is swinging earlier in the count much more than he did last year. Last year he was up in the top 5 in all of baseball at pitches per at bat. Very patient. This year he's a little more aggressive. Inside, 1-2 to Jeter. What a performance by Pedro Martinez. 11 strikeouts, and he just laid it all out there in the mound in the last inning, striking out the side to keep the Red Sox in front by a run. On a night that the Yankees got 10 hits, he walked 4. It's the first time he's done that this year.
I am more impressed from a Red Sox standpoint that Pedro was able to strand 13 runners in 7 innings. It's almost 2 an inning.
And again, Jeter fouls off a tough pitch. And I think that's one of the reasons Pedro Martinez had a tough night. Joe Carrigan shaking his head and looking at the catcher like, wow, did he get by with one there? He hung a curve to Jeter. The battery working now. Lowe and Varitek, both acquired from Seattle for Heathcliff Slocum by the Red Sox. That's inside. That's 2-2. See, the Yankee hitters, even when they're in the hole, 0-2. Jeter is taking this at bat as if he's in control of it.
Yeah, he's spoiled a couple of pitches, and each time Lowe has tried to come inside, he's missed. So the count is now even up 2-2, and the pendulum swings a little bit more in favor of Jeter.
Toward third, and that'll roll foul. The Yankees, and I think someone said this earlier last year, and I don't recall exactly who it was, that said one of the impressive things about the Yankee lineup is they have no fear about hitting with 2 strikes. And some hitters, you know, get very anxious. They tend to chase bad pitches, but for the most part, the Yankee hitters are just as relaxed with 2 strikes as they are when the count's 2-0. And then comes back, and Jeter can't hold up. Checking with Ed Hickox to say, was it a called strike or a swinging strike? And a moving fastball just tied up Derek with the first out in the top of the 8th inning.
Here's a look at it again, and once again, Derek Lowe tries to come inside. Jeter tried to hold up. He does go around, so he has struck out on a pitch that he tried to hold up with all his might. Couldn't get it done.
So Derek Lowe gets 1 out, leaves with 1 on, and Rio Cormier will come on to face Paul O'Neill when we come back. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Telligent, the Yankees' official local long distance and internet provider. Crafty lefty Real Cormier, who has held left-handers in check pretty much this season for the Red Sox, will face Paul O'Neill. We remind you that the Rangers game night program, which was sold at Wayne Gretzky's historic final game, is now available for a limited time. This program features Gretzky on the cover. It includes the roster card insert for that day, which was Sunday, April 18th. And it's available, the opening game night program from Gretzky's first home game as a Ranger. That's also available in addition to the historic last game. And both programs can be had for only $10 each plus shipping and handling. Place your order. You can call that number, 1-800-326-2733, Monday through Friday, open from 9 to 5. So you get the historic program from his last game and the roster card, as well as the opening night program. As you see the numbers on Real Cormier. And lefties hitting just a $111 against him.
Mentioned Cormier from Canada that pitched for their national team. Moncton, New Brunswick. Another one of those places I've been in the past.
Well, and you mentioned Joe Carrigan, Red Sox pitching coach, knows him. They were together in Montreal, and Cormier also worked for the St. Louis Cardinals. Towards second, could be 2. Offerman to Garcia Parra, the strong throw in time. And Paul O'Neill grounds into an inning-ending double play. 1 pitch, 2 out. Can't get any better than that, says Cormier. The Red Sox have come from behind, and they lead this one by a run as we head to the bottom of the 8th.
Taxi! Stop! Hey, somebody call me!
Now, nice look at the fans around the concession stand here at Fenway Park. We remind you that New York baseball is brought to you in part by Toyota every day and by Propecia. Talk to your doctor today. Oh boy, those good hot Italian sausage sandwiches on a cool night like tonight. You can't beat them here at Fenway Park or a Fenway Frank.
And then hit the treadmill in the morning.
Reggie Jefferson, who got a big base hit off David Cone that tied the game. Only a strong throw from Paul O'Neill kept the Red Sox from taking the lead back in the 5th inning, and he'll step in against Mike Stanton. First pitch in for a strike. A little reversal from the last time these two pitchers hooked up last September. The Yankees won that one 3-2. And Flash Gordon, just off the disabled list a week ago, will come on to try to save it. That's ground foul, 0-2 to Jefferson.
Jefferson, a good low ball hitter, and hits, as we mentioned, very well in this ballpark.
Most lefties that are low ball hitters, and watch his bat position there when he finally gets set. It'll be straight up and down. Anytime you see a bat straight up and down, that guy's a low ball hitter.
And see how he takes his practice swings there? They're all down low.
Good breaking ball just off the corner, 1-2. I think what's helped him be a good hitter in this ballpark since giving up switch hitting is, in this ballpark you don't have to drive the ball to left field. You can just slash it out there, find that wall. Two and 2. A lot of deep counts tonight by both pitchers. Didn't get the final total on Pedro Martinez as Garcia Parra waits on deck. His double in the 6th, and then advanced on a ground ball, scored on a wild pitch. That's the difference in the game. Now the count's gone full. We see the pattern a lot these days, particularly in the American League, where pitchers get ahead 0-2. Now you waste 1 pitch, and then usually that 4th pitch is the one you say, I'm going to put you away. But invariably, the count will end up going to 3-2. Towards shortstop, Jeter. On the second hop, will throw out Jefferson. 1 away here in the Red Sox 8th.
I don't know why more pitchers don't just zip that 0-2 pitch in there. I don't know why that doesn't happen.
Greg Maddux did it a lot. It's the best pitch to get a hitter out with because of the fact the hitter's in a defensive mode with 0-2. Well, Joe Torre makes his first trip to the mound in 1999 with a hand from Mike Stanton, who did a good job getting 4 outs and keep it a 1-run ball game. And here comes the new force out of the Yankee bullpen, Jason Grimsley. Call to the bullpen brought to you as usual by Telegent, the Yankees official local long distance and internet provider. Hits, a lot of base runners for a 3-2 game, but Cone, in particular Pedro Martinez, have made good pitches with men on. Now it's up to Jason Grimsley, who's had a terrific year. Look at the hits and the walks. Not many base runners in 23 innings. And for the first time, he'll face Nomar Garcia Parra, their first meeting. Strike 1. That really not in the spot that Grimsley usually throws that heavy sinker. That was up a little bit, but it had good movement on it.
You notice when he put it up there, though, Garcia Parra ripped at it. Oh, 2. As you would expect, the 4th sellout of the year, full house here at Fenway, 33,620 with Martinez and Cone, the pitchers.
And we mentioned the great performance by Pedro Martinez, 11 strikeouts, which is the 7th consecutive game he has struck out 10 or more. That's fouled at the plate. And a little baseball history. You have to go back 22 years to 1977. The last time that happened, and you'd expect it to be Nolan Ryan, and that's who it was. It took Pedro Martinez 136 pitches, one shy of his high for the year, to retire the Yankees and hold them to 2 runs in 7 innings. Outside, 1-2. Those of you that have not seen a lot of Grimsley, we've talked about the fact that what's made him effective, he's become pretty much a one-pitch pitcher out of the bullpen, relying on that good, heavy sinker. He'll mix in an occasional slider, but not very often.
He's thrown 1 in this at-bat to Garciaparra.
2-2. And again, the same pattern. We see the count go to 0-2, and then pitcher's trying to make that perfect pitch. O'Leary waits on deck. Reaches, taps it out, backhand play, Knobloch off bounce, can't get it. Couldn't plant his foot and get much on it. And with Garciaparra's speed, he hustles out an infield single.
Toughest play for a second baseman, going to his right and then throwing on the run. Maybe an accurate throw might have gotten him, but he couldn't get much on it. See the loop in the throw? Tino Martinez has to leave the bag, and a base hit for Garciaparra. His second hit in a row. That's how he had good nights. Go 0 for 2, they come back with 2 hits.
Well, when you look at that line, you say this guy hasn't had a good night, but it's one of those not in the box score. Troy O'Leary got a very harmless ground ball out in his last at bat. That's pulled foul. That advanced Garciaparra to third. He then scored on the wild pitch, and that's the difference right now. Garciaparra has 3 stolen bases. He's yet to be caught, and I would expect this is a situation he might want to try to steal one and get into scoring position. One of 3 great shortstops, and you throw Omar Vizquel in there from a fielding standpoint, but from all around, you have Jeter, Garciaparra, and now that he's back off the disabled list, Alex Rodriguez. Again, pulled foul, and it's 0-2.
I would think maybe Garciaparra would hold until O'Leary got 2 strikes and leave the hole open for him. And O'Leary trying to pull the ball through that hole. And if he doesn't go with O'Leary, I would think he might think about it with Stanley coming up next.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe he's just holding his ground there and giving O'Leary a shot at the big hole between Knobloch and Tino Martinez. Left field. That's in for a solid base hit. And the Red Sox threaten here in the bottom of the 8th. They have 2 on with 1 out.
That was good hitting by O'Leary, and I'll tell you why. He tried to pull the first 2 pitches through the hole and topped them foul. Now he gets the idea, goes the other way with the sinker, takes what Grimsley gives him, and gets the base hit to left field. Troy O'Leary, who in the last couple of years here has developed into a pretty good hitter.
Mike Stanley got the Red Sox on the board in the 5th, the first hit ever that he's had off David Cone, and he's added a single. He steps in now with 2 on, 1 out. That's in for a strike. So you have a low ball hitter in Stanley and a low ball pitcher. So you say, what does the pitcher do? Well, usually you try to pitch him lower than low, and with that good heavy sinker, if Grimsley gets it down below the knees, he'd have a good chance to get a double play ball. One and 1. Garciaparra, as usual, is always in the middle of things here when the Red Sox score. He's at second and O'Leary at first. see what Stanley has done in just 6 at-bats against Grimsley. Just outside, 2-1. Sometimes with all the information and numbers we have, they don't tell you the whole story, because this is an entirely different Jason Grimsley this year. Those were the years when he was probably a starter, threw more breaking balls, didn't have as
many, a little bit wilder.
Right.
Ball fell behind on the count.
Veritek waiting on deck. Now 3-1.
But just by the way his stuff moves, from a hitting standpoint, you almost tell this guy's going to be tough. Tough to deal with as far as getting the ball in the air, driving it to the outfield, to the gaps.
It's the first real jam that he has gotten himself into this year, Jason Grimsley. You see the Yankees playing behind the runner and straight away. Wow. Close but inside, and Stanley draws a walk, and the Red Sox have him loaded.
Number 47, the catcher, Jason.
Well, Bill Stoudemire's headed out to the mound after this pitch. Sinker that sinks and moves off the plate. Mike Stanley has always had a pretty good eye, and he draws ball 4. And that will bring up a bases loaded situation for Jason Veritek.
Yeah, this will be a big challenge for Jason Grimsley, because those of you that have followed him in the past, control's always been the problem, and he seems to have licked that. He's a little more animated on the mound tonight than we've seen him. We see him very, very relaxed, but anytime a guy has had problems throwing strikes and all of a sudden the bases are loaded and you say, boy, there's no place to put him, it just puts a little more pressure on you to get that ball in the strike zone.
Let's see where Posada sets up, too. That could be a key to this first pitch being a strike. I would think when he's struggling with his control, you got to put that target right there and let the movement take care of the hitter. It looks like that's what he's going to do.
And first pitch swinging, strike 1, fouled straight back.
Instead of sitting out on a corner and giving very little to shoot at, let him shoot for the plate. With the movement on Grimsley's pitches, you know, a hitter still might top it, even if it's right down the middle.
Garcia, Parra, O'Leary, and Stanley, your runners. Slice down the line and just foul. It's 0-2. I would prefer to see catchers. I mean, as a former pitcher, I always like the catcher sitting behind the plate. I never did see the reasoning in having a catcher sit way outside. It makes your target smaller to shoot at when you're sitting right behind the plate. And for years, you know, they've always said throw between those 4 points. You know, if you get it in between those 4 points and you got good movement on the ball, that's going to be a strike. And with the kind of movement Grimsley's got, he can trust his stuff and throw it in there. Fouled straight back again by Veritek. And the Knicks have now taken an 11-point lead down in Atlanta over the Hawks in the 4th quarter. Blocked by Posada on the sinker, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, he's been busy blocking balls in the dirt tonight, but he'll think about that one that got away that enabled the Red Sox to take the lead. That was back in the 6th inning.
Double play depth and straight away in the outfield against Jason Veritek. Towards second, Knobloch. This is going to be tough to turn. They're not going to get one. He throws it away. And the Red Sox going to pick up a pair on an errant off-balance throw by Chuck Knobloch. Something that those of you that have followed the Yankees all year know Chuck has really had some problems with his throw.
It would have been tough to turn two. It might have been better suited just to get the one. The throw is wide of Jeter. And Stanley slides into second. Yeah, that's going to be a tough turn. And a couple of runs score. And the Red Sox now lead 5-2 on the errant throw by Chuck Knobloch. Varitek will get a fielder's choice and one run batted in on the play.
First pitch now to Lewis outside for a ball. That is not the kind of play you expect to see from a Gold Glove second baseman. Not that he threw it away the whole approach, you know, trying to throw it on the run and really had no chance to turn two. You would have expected him just maybe plant his foot and give Jeter a chest high throw and settle for one out. That's inside. And Tony Fossis, who pitched a lot right here in Fenway Park, warming up in the other bullpen.
Either that or just throw on the first base and take the sure out.
Now Grimsley fighting his control. The count has gone to 3-0 to Lewis. So right now the Red Sox being rewarded by the gutsy effort by Pedro Martinez, who the Yankees had on the ropes just about every inning. In for a strike, but he managed to come up with big inning-ending strikeouts. A pair of them in the fifth with the bases loaded, and then struck out the side in the seventh inning when the Yankees were threatening to tie it up. Lewis draws a walk.
Looking at my scorecard on the Yankees hitting side, Pedro Martinez was in there for 7 innings, and 5 of them he ended with a strikeout.
Trot Nixon.
Trot Nixon with a little of everything tonight, a single, a sacrifice bunt. And he'll step in. The Red Sox have him loaded. That expression on Joe Torre's face is not what he wanted his first night back. Knobloch again will have but one toss. That's to Tino Martinez for the second out of the inning. Red Sox get another run. They extend the lead to 6-2. I think what Joe is seeing from the dugout tonight, Kenny, and he's been watching on television, is the crispness that the Yankees lack this year that they had last year. Decisions in the field, pitchers throwing strikes, staying ahead of hitters, little things like that. Hitters have done a good job tonight getting a lot of hits. I think you just have to credit Pedro Martinez for shutting him down in the clutch. Here's Offerman toward Tino Martinez. He'll flip it to Grimsley. And the Red Sox are retired, but they come up with a big 3-spot to give them a 4-run lead as we head to the top of the ninth here at Fenway. Back after this. 6-2 Red Sox. We head to the top of the ninth. Last chance for the Yankees.
Well, fans, baseball's greatest rivalry continues as the Boston Red Sox battle in the Bronx. It's a 3-game series against the Yankees, May 24th through the 26th. Tickets are still available. Get your tickets now. The Yankee Stadium box office, Ticketmaster at 212-307-1212, or always on the web at www.yankees.com.
That Wednesday afternoon game again with Roger Clemens pitching on Friday. He would be due to pitch the Wednesday game. Bernie Williams will now turn around to the right side. This will be interesting, Kenny, to watch this ninth inning. Real Cormier has never had a major league save. Came in last inning to get Paul O'Neill to ground into a double play, so he would qualify. But some guys are comfortable pitching the 7th and 8th. They've never figured out a way to get through the 9th, and I'm sure Jimmy Williams would have Tom Gordon ready in an instant. That's low for a ball. It started with Martinez and Cone dueling through the first 3 innings, with Cone really having the upper hand. 1-2-3 inning in the second. Very little trouble up through the first 4. Red Sox only had 2 hits. That's low for a ball. Martinez, on the other hand, gives up 2 hits in the first, another in the second. Yankees scored a run and stranded 2 more in the third. And as Kenny mentioned, he had to continue to work out of every inning by striking out a Yankee hitter. (3-0). Mike Messina and the Baltimore Orioles defeat Anaheim 5-3. Messina and Finley, the starting pitchers in that one. Toronto gets a win 7-5. And Cleveland again in a big way. Last night they scored 13. They're leading by 11. Kansas City now leads Oakland. 3-1 to Bernie Williams.
Seems if Cleveland scores less than 10, they've had a bad night.
Tampa Bay keeping their record over 500. Leads, and Seattle by 1 early out at the Kingdome. Way inside. And there's the effect of a guy who is not accustomed to pitching the 9th inning. 4-run lead. Bernie Williams draws a walk. 3-1 pitch, not close. And now suddenly the Red Sox will have to get Flash Gordon up again. And of course Joe Torre hoping that he can get a couple of base runners on there before Gordon is ready to go. Tino Martinez has been swinging the bat well all night. It's his first look at Cormier, and that's in for a strike. He really put some good at-bats on Pedro Martinez. Even the out he made in his first at-bat was a solid, almost line drive out to right center. In the dirt, 1-1.
And in the 5th inning, when Tino drew a walk, that was an inning where Pedro Martinez walked 3 and the Yankees scored their second run. So, and he fouled off several tough pitches in that at bat.
Grounded foul outside of first. Nice hands, Jose. And some lucky fan will get a souvenir. Mentioned that, Kenny, some pitchers and managers find this out. When you pitch the 8th inning and you know you have your closer down there, there's that safety net. You feel a little more relaxed. And all of a sudden, the 9th, when you're counted on to get those final outs, it's just something that every pitcher, I mean, I was able to play with some great ones like Bruce Sutter and Goose Gossage. They pitched the 9th inning like it was the 3rd inning. Didn't make any difference to them. Every pitcher doesn't handle it that way. Bernie's on the run. That pitch way in the dirt, and he will probably not be credited with a stolen base. Defensive indifference, but it takes away the double play possibility.
You can look to see the look on Jimmy Williams' face after an opening walk, and now a 1-2 pitch in the dirt to even the count to Tino Martinez at 2-2. And you know he doesn't want to use Flash Gordon if he doesn't have to.
Had to use him for an inning last night, and Gordon gave up 3 runs, even though the Red Sox won. Ripped right field, in for a base hit. Williams being waved home. The Yankees will cut the margin to 6-3, and Tino Martinez continues his good hitting, and Jimmy Williams will have to do what he probably wishes he'd have done to start this inning. Bring on Flash Gordon. Here he comes. And this call to the bullpen brought to you by Intelligent, the Yankees' official local long-distance and internet provider. Most dominant closer in the American League last year's Tom Flash Gordon. He had 46 saves. He's 4 for 4 this year. Earned run average a little high. That can be deceptive. He had 1 bad inning last night, even though the Red Sox won. Look at the strikeouts. 12, in 6 1/3 innings. In for a strike. What he's done differently since his days as a starter, instead of nibbling around throwing 3 or 4 pitches, he works primarily off that good fastball. And when he gets you to 2 strikes, he has one of the better overhand curveballs in baseball. Ball and a strike.
I had a chance to talk to Joe Kerrigan before the game, and the pitching coach said even though Gordon gave up some runs last night, came in throwing his fastball about 90, 92. Then when he got in some trouble, he got up to 94, 95.
A little extra.
Yes.
There's a breaking ball. This is 2-1.
That breaking ball has a nickname here in Boston, at least among the Red Sox. It is called the Demon.
Really? Yeah, that's a good name for it.
Yes, it is.
You see he's got that bill of that cap pulled down over his eyes. He can keep the ball down where he wants to, like that, 2-2. Some hitters do. In fact, Andy Pettit will do that. So it's almost like having tunnel vision. The only thing you see is the catcher's target. Center field. Darren Lewis played him perfectly, puts it away, and that's the first out in the ninth.
Well, he threw the one curve to Chile that held up high, but then he just went basically fastball. Jimmy Williams, the manager, talking about Tom Gordon. He calls him Thomas, by the way. He says that the best thing that happened to him was putting him into the bullpen, because when he was a starter with Kansas City, you know, he'd have a bad outing, then he'd have to wait 3, 4, 5 days before he pitched again. Now he has the mind frame of an everyday player, which he really likes, knowing that he can get into every single game.
Outside corner, strike 1. I think he credits Dennis Eckersley also at helping him from the mental side of what a closer goes through. Up the middle, Posada has a base hit. So after a tough night against Pedro Martinez with a pair of strikeouts, suddenly with the Posada single, the Yankees have the tying run at the plate, and Shane Spencer will get a chance.
Now batting for Curtis, number 47.
I thought coming to Fenway Park tonight, if there was a Yankee hitter that is suited well for Fenway Park, it's Shane Spencer. Because the Red Sox don't know a lot about him, Kerrigan making a trip to the mound, probably talked to Tom Gordon, but most of your successful right-hand hitters in Fenway Park like the ball middle of the plate in. I go back to the late Tony Conigliaro, to Rico Petrocelli, John Valentin, and that's the kind of hitter Shane Spencer is. So he can do some damage if Gordon leaves one on the inside part early in the count.
This is the first meeting between Spencer and Gordon.
Outside corner. Strike 1. Probably the message Kerrigan said, that's good pitching anyway. Well, most of the time when a home run can beat you, you want to keep the ball away from a hitter. Worst thing that can happen then is a single the opposite field. Curve high, 1-1. Fans have such a good view because they're close to the action, and they probably umpire more in Fenway Park than most other parks. Again, 2-1. Well, now Spencer has Gordon in a fastball situation with Posada at first and Tino Martinez at second.
And Gordon missing with 2 curves. If you're Spencer, I don't know if you were a hitter, you'd almost sit there and say, I think I'm going to get a fastball.
Here it comes. Yeah. Just a matter of being quick enough. The Demon hasn't listened tonight. It's been all over the place.
Took it. And Shane turned around as if he thought that pitch might have been low.
Watch the glove. Veritek had to go down to get it.
Yeah. Now it's 2-2. Now that same pitch appeared to be called ball 1 and ball 2, and suddenly even Joe Torre looked in surprise at it. Gordon gets the called strike 3.
Yeah, the Demon is close enough on this one. Ed Hickox with the call.
Ooh. Good selling job by Veritek. You don't see many high breaking balls like that, particularly these days, called strikes in the American League.
But after that low pitch, that should not be a strike.
No. Here's Brocious. He's the last chance for the Yankees. That's in for a strike. And this win, if the Red Sox get one more out, would be a great reward for the effort by Pedro Martinez. It would be his 8th win. 1 strike away. And certainly if you looked at the way these 2 teams played and pitched, you'd say Martinez certainly deserves to win this game. Brocious stays alive.
That pitch was meant to be upstairs to get Brocious to chase. He did it in his last at bat against Martinez on a high fastball. Couldn't check.
And as you see, Scott has done well against Thomas in his career. Towards short. Garcia Parra will take the short way to second, and Flash is back. He picks up his 5th save of the year. And Joe Torre is back, but he wanted to come back on a victorious note. Pedro Martinez had different ideas. What a great performance by the young right-hander. He picks up his 8th win. Yankees had plenty of base runners. You see the 13 hits. A costly error gave the Red Sox 2 unearned runs in the bottom of the 8th. And the Red Sox win this first game of a 3-game series 6-3. The Yankees strand 15.
15 runners left during the course of the game. A hit here or there might have changed the outcome of the game. But as we mentioned, during his 7 innings out there, Pedro Martinez closed 5 of his innings in trouble with a strikeout.
So the Red Sox win game 1. Lots more to wrap up on this one. We come back on Metro Guide after these messages. Red Sox win at 6-3. Welcome back to Fenway as we check out the Jeep game summary. David Cone was sharp through the first 4 innings. Red Sox only had a couple of hits. Then things changed. As you see, they scored 6 runs in the last 4. They win at 6-3. Pedro Martinez becomes the Major League's first 8-game winner. Tom Gordon saves his 5th. And for the 7th consecutive game, Martinez has hit double figures in strikeouts. The Yankees leave 13 men on, and in amongst some of the plays tonight, Kenny, there was some good fielding plays and some timely hitting.
Let's check out our defensive play of the game with Mike Stanley at the plate.